Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Flea and I are back as we discuss Terminator Zero. In 2022, a future war has raged for decades between the few human survivors and an endless army of machines. In 1997, the AI known as Skynet gained self-awareness and begun its war against humanity. I wrote "was there," that was clever. This is one been in the back burner for a while. We're looking at other things and thought we'd try to get this one off the list.
It's too many things we have to talk about. That's the point. There's too much out there to cover. We can't cover it all at once.
The list is never ending. It does feel like a tremble, honestly. Because even, I think I've made this before, even if I was to draw a line this year and go, no more new movies, you still couldn't cover everything in a reasonable time in each subgenre.
God, when we were talking about the anime and what anime we could cover, it's like we just keep adding more and more and more to the list as it crops up or as we remember it. It's never ending.
Yeah, and then there's new stuff as well and everything, all mixed in between. It just never stops. But I think we're sort of having a chat before we went live. I think we both appreciate that the Terminator as a franchise is dead. There's no excitement about it. There's no buzz. There's nothing. It's a dead franchise. Yep.
I've got to be honest. This is the first. I haven't seen Terminator before until I watched it like last night and today, and it's like I just felt like normally it's like Happy Sugar Life. It's like oh yeah, we're gonna watch Happy Sugar Life. I can't wait to see what Colin's reaction is to this. It's kind of like this one. It's kind of like, oh yeah, Terminator. Yeah, well, may as well start it now. See what we can find out of it.
Yeah, it's a very paint by numbers franchise. Terminator goes back in time to kill someone to try and stop it. Yada yada. You have to have that storyline, and this one has taken a lot of inspiration from what I see from the Sarah. I keep saying Sarah Jane Chronicles. I'll keep thinking of Sarah Jane out of Doctor Who. The Sarah Connor Chronicles, the TV series got three seasons. In my opinion, highly underrated show. It was panned. I think the apathy with the franchise had already set in, but it did more to delve into the actual lore of Terminator and the idea of AI and the idea of Skynet not just being the only AI out there, and that these sentient machines are happening all over the world, where the movies are very Los Angeles American focused, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like all within a certain locale. But I think this one makes more sense in terms of we can understand it now with the technology, where I think even Terminator 3 tried to use the technology at the time, but I hadn't quite got to that stage.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Like this game is the story is set in 97, but it's like the technology they're talking about is very, very futuristic, even for 2025. Because it's like even now AI is basically limited to what you tell it to do. There's no actual self-thinking, self-teaching AI out there. But it's
I think we're the Terminator franchise tries to go with these series like Sarah Connor Chronicles and this. It's kind of the Isaac Asimov territory. Do robot stream of electric sheep sort of thing.
Yeah, I can see.
It's getting into that sort of territory, and I think it needs to, because there's only so much you can do with a big hulking killer robot going to kill the chosen one and then trying to protect the chosen one. That's
but it's like this. It's kind of like it's less to do with the hulking great robot trying to kill somebody or protect someone, and it's more about the forces behind that and what can be done to prevent it. I've got a bit episode one. I was just kind of like, yep. People going back in time to stop Terminator have gone back in time. This feels very familiar. Yes, we're on a safe footing here. I know exactly where this is going, and it did. Pretty much, it went exactly where I thought it was going.
And to be honest, I think it needed to do that.
Yeah, I'd say
You need to see it's a Terminator movie.
it's how I expected it to start, just because the simple reason that's how every Terminator starts, more or less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's essentially a time travel movie more than an AA movie. That's the whole premise of the Terminator franchise is time travel, and what happens when you go back. And this is where it got a bit clever, I think, as we got later on, because it's a 4 or 5 episode slow burn build up to the crescendo.
I've got to be honest. By the time we got to the end of episode 4, I was wondering whether or not I should reach for a book to read while I was watching the rest of it. Because yes, at the start it is a very, very slow burn.
But it's planting seeds.
It is. It sets everything up. Like I said to you before we started streaming, it's like, for me, it didn't really wake up until episode 7. It's like the last 2 episodes were the ones that made me sit up and go, "Oh, hello."
You needed to have the information on board, or else the last 3 or 4 episodes make no sense. If it just started and went straight there, you'd just be going, "Huh?"
Yeah, because it's like episode 1, this, episode 2, this, episode 3, this, 4, this, 5, this, episode this, episode 7, this. It just sets up everything nicely and gives you enough character development to understand where the various characters fit into it.
But maybe could have got there a wee bit quicker. Maybe
I've got to be honest.
Maybe split into 2 acts, Act 1 and Act 2. You know, I think that's the thing with these series, is that they should treat them like a movie. So first 4 episodes is Act 1. That's all your setup. Act 2 then your middle part of the trilogy. You know, the characters get into peril, they don't know how they're going to get out. Everything's, you know, the antagonist plans start to come together, and then Act 3 being the resolution.
Yeah.
To me, it's like they spend so long in the start. They don't seem to get that. They don't break everything down into 3-act story. With series, they tend to mess about a bit, where
I don't know, because it's kind of like, it's almost like 1 to 4 is the beginning bit.
Yeah, but you see it a lot with other series as well, which is why I'm not a big fan of TV, because they don't apply the same 3-act structure that you would do a movie.
Yeah.
Do a TV series. They put everything in the opening episode because that gets the ratings, and they put everything into the finale, and they kind of dick about in the middle. So everyone's got into this pattern, and it's what came first, the chicken or the egg. Did the studio write the plots that everyone gets engaged with the opening episode and then sort of switch off, and the finale, and then did the studios then decide, well, this is where we need to put our effort and the middle doesn't matter? Or did the audience teach the studio to do that by their watching habits?
I don't. What's it? The guy who wrote this, the guy who wrote Terminator Zero, is a guy called Tom Matson. I've been looking at the work he's been done on, and he was an uncredited scriptwriter for the Batman. You know, the one with our Pats in. Oh dear.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Sorry, I'm aware.
So it's like he's done what he did. Project Power, never heard of it. Little Fish, don't know that one. Mother/Android, don't know that one. The Batman, Sea Beast, an untitled Batman sequel, which is set to be made in 2027. That's 2 years' time. Mega Man BRZKRKR. Oh, Berserker. Okay, fair enough. The comic book and Mimetic.
So he's busy.
And that's it. So basically, he's for the past like 5 years he's been working on stuff, and I've got to be honest, I've never heard of him. The only thing I know about him, he was born in Bucharest.
Do you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing.
I would say unknowns are basically where the new ideas come from.
Yeah,
because it's like we were saying. Think about Terminator itself. Terminator is a franchise that is well past its sell-by date. There isn't. I mean, when you go like Terminator,
It's that moldy
There isn't
milk
like
in
a
the back of the
harsh.
fridge that you don't even want it. You have to put on the rubber gloves to actually lift it out to throw it
Yeah,
away.
it's like they
You're
just
not
kind of
even
like
pouring it down the sink, like you're throwing it straight out. You're like,
yeah. It's like Terminator is. It's like Terminator needs a shot in the. Terminator needs a really really good shot in the arm to get it up and moving again.
it just needs to go away for 20 years.
It's like, is Terminator Zero that shot in the arm?
No.
But it was close.
This is, like I said, I'm going to draw a lot of inspiration from the Sarah Connor Chronicles, because that's basically mirroring a lot of the ideas that were brought forward there,
The only problem
including
is
the philosophy ideas.
the only
But
problem
also,
is,
it's iRobot. Like, this is essentially the iRobot plot as well,
yeah.
mashed in.
I'm trying to think, have I seen iRobot? Because thing is that I gave up on the Terminator so long ago. I haven't seen the Sarah.
iRobot isn't a Terminator. It's a.
I've seen iRobot.
Yeah, it's based on the Isaac Asimov book. You know, Cock Smith was on it.
Yeah, I remember it. But yeah, it's like there's. Nope, spoilers. Not going there yet because we're still on episode 1.
So I think we're just getting. So we'll start off with the future war, as always. And this is what I don't understand. These people are seasoned in fighting these machines. Why are they carrying pistols? Why even bother? It should be minimum armor-piercing rounds, and nothing less.
I think it's a comfort thing. Here you go, take this. It's better than nothing. So it's kind of like, yeah, I've got my pistol. I can at least get one shot off with this pistol. It's not going to do anything, but I can get my shot off with this pistol. They may as well give me a pistol and only one bullet.
You'd shared the trailer, the Discord. Remember, that's how I came under my sort of radar, so to speak.
Yeah,
and we get the scene where she's on the way and just dropping the rifle and throwing the rifles and stuff, and I'm like, you don't do that.
It's got no bullets left. Get rid of it. I'll pick up another one up from the next dead body.
It's like,
how do you know the gun you're going to pick up off the next dead body? The person didn't die because they got no bullets,
or it's going to have the same caliber rounds or anything else. It's I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to show panic, etc. But it's just it's a silly trope. I hate it.
It's kind of like it's like instead of like keep the weapon, instead of throwing the weapon away and grabbing the next body's weapon, why don't you keep the weapon and just grab the magazines off it?
Yeah,
if they're all armed with the same gun.
But then we'll go back to, it does the switch between obviously the future war and the present day. This is set, and we meet Malcolm's family, and Kent is his son, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, they're all his children.
Yeah. And you already know there's something more about Kenta than anyone else.
See, when we first met Kenta, I just thought what all the kid needed was a bloody good punch. Because he's one of these, he's kind of like he's one of these like obnoxious sprog kind of characters.
Yeah, hyperactive kid that needs to channel his energy into something.
He needs more than just being like stuck in a household.
His father's at work. He's stuck in an apartment with no stimulus.
Yeah, his mother has passed on, so he's just like taking the household appliances apart to build new machines.
And really, considering basically Malcolm Lee in this is the main character, he's essentially Miles Dyson from Terminator 2.
Yeah.
You would think he would recognize that in his son and have all the little electronic, little science kits and stuff. He works in a freaking robotics factory. You'd think he would have a little workbench or hobby bench for him.
But it's kind of weird because it's like no, we don't allow robots in this house. It's like later on, robotic cat. No, get rid of it. We don't have that thing. Like he just seems to be ignoring his children because his work is far more important. But then again, he is kind of like trying to save mankind. So I kind of understand where he's coming from, but man, at least pat your daughter on the head when she's done something good. Come on.
Yeah. It's just he's almost setting up. It's that old prophecy, isn't it? Oh God, I can't remember the story, but one of the earliest ones where the king hears of his demise, and by trying to prevent his demise, actually causes it. So Malcolm's trying to basically save mankind with Kokoro, but by ignoring his children and therefore Kenta becoming like a major player, as we find out later on, he almost causes what he's trying to prevent.
That was such a good bait and switch. I really enjoyed that was one of the moments when I sat up and went, oh hello, actually yes, let's start watching this.
The bit I couldn't get my head around.
I'm not saying that I almost dozed off during the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, it takes a minute getting there, but I'm seeing it for what it is. It's just trying to get you into the world.
It's like episode
rather than just drop you in and be like, fire. Yeah. It's trying to get you into the main. This is a philosophical series. It's not an action series.
Yeah.
I think that's what I understood from it from the get-go.
I'm pretty sure that you can count the shots the Terminator fires on one hand.
Yeah,
it may be a bit more than that, but it's almost like the Terminator is actually more set dressing than an actual character until the end.
It's a plot device. The bit that got me was sending the robot out to walk a dog.
It was raining. Come on.
Fuck off. Like, if you have a dog, you go and walk it.
But what kind of dog was it? It looked like some fluffy little lap dog spaniel kind of thing.
Yeah, it's one of them people put in their handbags type dogs, but yeah, that there's a car accident and gets splattered and stuff, and you're like, oh god, what the hell, But then again, it's almost saying it's humanity's fault. Which look at people today. I think a study came out. People can't cook. Like, people can't take basic ingredients and put them together.
That's a bit rough, isn't it? But what do you call it? By basic ingredients, I suppose you mean potato, carrot,
onion, peas, anything.
What? Oh God! It's the way episode 1 hit me. It was kind of like future war, dysfunctional family, set in a kind of dystopia. Because it's like no one seems happy, and they've got robots doing all the stuff for them.
Well, you mean like today, people like permanently attached to their phones are miserable, and they're trying to get AI. Like, you've got these artists out there, but they're using AI.
So, not like the latest AI thing. Jim and I'm so sad. Tell me a story. That kind of thing. I'm so alone. Because not being alone involves people, and I just can't do people. For God's sake, please. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, but that's that's why I'm saying this is a philosophical series, because that's the whole point. You can look at it and go, it's happening right now. We're here. It's right in front of our noses. And it's not the machine's fault at the end of the day. The machine is a tool. It's people. People are, when you won't take your own dog, for a start, don't get a dog if you're not going to walk it and take responsibility. But if you're not going to take your own dog for a walk, and it shows you inevitably what can happen.
Yeah.
Then you've failed. Why bother?
I was kind of glad when the dog survived that, because when it picked it up by its neck, I'm like, oh hello. That's it. Mankind's the dog.
Yeah, and then that's basically it. It's just the Terminator coming back, and just we're seeing the arrival is setting up. We'll spend a bit more time in the future with the next episode.
We do, yeah.
But once again, that's another thing that bugs me, is they're supposed to be soldiers, supposed to be keeping minimum. The machines have infrared, night vision,
ultraviolet,
motion everything,
radar, you name it. Yeah,
sound detection. So let's sit out in the open, have campfires and talk shite.
It's just it's kind of like it's Future War, the cinematic version, isn't it? It's like it's got to look good. It's like you can't have like people hiding under the wreckage of a car, like eating cold beans out of a tin and just like speaking to each other with hand gestures. It's like there's got to be like warmth, fire, toasting marshmallows, laughter, chatting. Because otherwise, it's just too depressing.
But that's kind of the point. Humanity on the brink. That was the thing that Terminator, the original one, got right. Was humanity on the brink.
The future
until
war
John
scenes
Connor.
in the original Terminator were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and that was the whole point of John Connor, was the galvanizing force. If it wasn't for John Connor, the humanity would have been toast. So not to pay homage to that and just have all this fluff. I see exactly where you're coming from with the first 4 or 5 episodes, because it's like there's a lot of fluff here, there's a lot of exposition, but they're doing it in the wrong context.
Yeah. If you think back to the original Terminator timeline, it's like the way they flash forward to is what, 2022?
Yeah.
So they flash forward to 2022. So John Connor is a young man. John Connor would be leading them. Because how old was John Connor when Skynet blew everything up in 97?
God, they had him in his early 20s. But once again, this is where they messed up. Because basically they said that they judged the day back. The guy that played him in Terminator 2 was he like 14 or something? It was all coming day ahead at that point. But even at that, they're showing humanity a bit too fluffy. And then they have this prophet, they've developed a new religion for the time.
I don't know what that prophet was on, but I want some.
Yeah, I just couldn't help thinking they've ripped off the Matrix. He's basically the prophet's Morpheus. They're using a Morpheus stand-in, the lady.
I'm kind of like, I actually thought going through it, the prophet was his daughter.
Yeah,
but it
one thing it did well.
It doesn't bear up to close inspection. That doesn't.
Yeah. One good thing they've done about this series is not everything revolves around the same characters. So we've got an expanded cast for the time. We've got each time zone having its own issues. So that's cool, because at least it fleshes it out a bit. But yeah, there's believers in the prophet. There's non-believers. There's that whole strife. The way they've got this set up is, how is humanity still existing? The machines would have wiped them out by now. You didn't get that sense of security that they found these deep holes or somewhere where they can actually have respite. They never give you that impression.
No, it's because it's almost as if it's almost as if they've given up, haven't they? Considering it's still like 2022, considering it's so early in the future war, mankind seem to have given up. Because it's like when the Terminators finally break through, it's like no one's got guns, no one's prepared for it, there's no one on guard. They just seem to walk straight in.
Yeah, because it's like they're just hanging about in campsites all over the place. I'm sorry, but if this was you have a mechanized army with one intention is search and destroy, and everyone's acting as if it's just sporadic gunfire in another, city or something.
Yeah.
And that's not how this would set up, and it gives me a problem sort of buying into the future war, if that makes sense.
There are a few gaps, I think, in the storytelling. And I think that's one of the ones that that's one of the things that kind of like turned me off slightly on the story.
Yeah, I get it.
But I've got a bit so far where we are in episode 2. The most interesting character that I think is Misaki. Because Misaki is like, it's like the bit where when she cuts herself, she's just kind of there staring at the blood. And then later on, when she's cleaning herself up and she just starts staring herself in the mirror and kind of examining her neck, it's like, wait a minute, I've seen that before. Could it be? Could this be? And it's just kind of like, I want to know more about Misaki. I want to learn more about Misaki.
Yeah, she's the one who brought the cat in.
She's the one who brought Koneko, the robot cat. Don't know about anybody else, but I want one.
That's
It's
where we're going.
Shut up. It was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, that's where we're going. It's just a Tamagotchi on steroids.
I think.
Do you remember people being absolutely obsessed with those things?
Yeah. Oh God.
Like proper upset when they died and stuff. Like it was. I know you had to do is reset. It was only pixels on a screen, but people personified them to such a degree.
I used to have a Tamagotchi. It used to reset itself every time I went to work, because when I went to work, I hadn't got time to sort with it. So yeah, but I'm sure I read somewhere that some woman had brought an AI dog or something because she was alone in her house and she wanted a friend or something like that. But like I say, it's like that's why you get like AI kind of like companions on your phones and your tablets these days now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that you don't have to be alone. So you don't have to interact with like real people.
But unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of people myself. But unfortunately, we're a social creature. And if we don't, we'll put our heads away. It's actually a slow death. We'll have to interact. And part of that is we meet people that we don't necessarily like or agree with, or people just don't like you, etc. You know, that's part of the world, and we'll have to learn to deal with that. And I think people have forgotten. God, what was that thing? I need to look it up.
Well, it's like these. It's like that's these kids like Dr. Malcolm. Every time I say that, I have a Jurassic Park flashback. Dr. Malcolm has got 3 kids. They come across that they absolutely loathe and despise each other. It's like there's no family love there. It's like you've got the smart one who hates everyone. The dopey one who I honestly believe has to be reminded to breathe, and the girl who hates both the boys. It's dysfunction.
Yeah. So you can now get AI vaginas. And there's one I saw, somebody else was covering it. You can get it, it's now desk mountable.
What?
And connects to your app. It's at the moment, I think it's screen based, but eventually it's going to go VR. It's the Wankatron 3000 is on the horizon, and once that happens, nobody's leaving their home ever. It's existent, it's happening. You know, the whole idea of artificial companions.
Skynet, I've got a job for you. It's a simple job. I just want you to judge and work out whether mankind is worthy of surviving. Okay, take as long as you like. My God, there's no wonder Skynet just basically turned around and went like, "Yeah, fry them." Yeah, it's
what is the point of these creatures? What are they doing anymore? You know,
it's like hello, mankind.
But is that not the eternal debate between carnality and artificial substitutes, and where's the line drawn? Because the problem with the AI technology is getting better. It's still just a facsimile of anything human. It's not even remotely close.
I mean,
but it's not gonna slow down. It's not gonna reverse. It's only going to improve.
At the moment, they call what we have AI, but what they call AI can still only do what we tell it to. It's like look at these art programs. Yeah, you have to train them by feeding them already existing art.
Yeah, and it's code. You're basically coding. It's an algorithm. You're learning the code.
Yeah, but it's like so. All this all this like art related AI, all it can do is copy. Yep. It cannot create. It can create. It creates based on copying things. You cannot go like Just type in like paint me a picture, and it comes up with something unique.
No, because it doesn't know how to do that.
When
And
that happens, I'm leaving for Mars. But it's just kind of like.
but there was this. I think we've had this conversation before about they were toying about with the idea. With processors, they've got the atoms now that close together. They can't really go any further. So they were talking about using amoebas as a conduit. There's how you get artificial intelligence by proxy. You introduce organic matter, and the firing of synapses with the amount of information that a flipping flash drive can hold now. There's artificial intelligence by proxy. You're infusing a living being already, supercharging it with information. Eventually, I think that's why it was. I don't know if they're still going ahead, but I think that project was shelved.
I don't think we'll ever have artificial intelligence in the way that people are thinking about Skynet and things like that. I don't think we'll ever make that.
But even then, you go back to what was that? Matthew Broderick, War Games. Do you remember War Games?
Do you want to play a game?
Yes. All that did was play out. It's it didn't matter the fact that it was about to cause nuclear holocaust. All that was doing it was a level in a game, and it has it can get faster and smarter, etc., and you can go up levels that you can't beat it. But there's always a way around. The question is this back to the human condition of, because we are the apex predator. And I think something sits in the back of our brains, our lizard brains from like the dawn of time of, now there's always a bigger fish sort of thing. Are we essentially creating a predator so we can almost be back part of the natural order? But we've become so out of harmony that's what we're subconsciously, because I think a lot of us are run by our subconscious as opposed to our conscious thought. I think there's stuff going on in the back of your brain more, I know it's a different part, but you know what I mean? Essentially the backdoor stuff that's happened and sort of sitting in there and turning away, you don't even realize it's going on. And I think collectively there is an attempt by humanity to balance itself, because with we're going the wrong way. And is the idea of actually creating a super predator, something that can wipe us out, that centering force? Is that what this whole franchise and storyline's about? And the discussion, this discussion's happened since the 19th century, like early 19th century, with War of the Worlds.
I think that's it. It's like, I wouldn't put mankind as being an apex predator. I'd just say mankind is very good at making and using tools.
Well, that's that puts you straight away up there above. Yeah, obviously butt naked, middle of the savannah, we're not going to last very long. But then again, that's what sets humanity aside. And what was started off survival and progress, we're now getting to the point where we're devolving as a species. And is this the idea of this? Is this a natural progression that we're going to build something, maybe not intentionally, but subconsciously, to balance ourselves? Because we need to not be the apex predator anymore. We need that greater threat. That's what galvanizes humanity. It always has, is the existential threat. It has to be right at the point of crisis before things rectify. It's always complacency right up to that point. You look at human history. It has to be catastrophe. It can't be any other way. If it's any other way, we're still navel gazing and hemming and hawing and doing this and that and the other. It's always been the way of things.
But we live with existential threat every day. It's called a gravestone.
That's inevitable. That's the journey we're all heading on. But we still have the idea. This is what makes humanity different. Is the idea of legacy. I want to be remembered 2-3 generations down the line at the very least. I want to put my mark on the world. That's a massive driving force of humanity. Yet animal kingdom, they pass on their genes and natural selection, etc. That's just a survival and growth mechanism and a response to its environment. We as a species have this idea of long-lasting, an idea or something built beyond ourselves after we're dead. We all know we're going to die. Some people are in denial, but we have this idea of carrying on after death, if not physically ourselves, but by something we've put out there. Should that be family, offspring, creations, art, you name it? There's a whole myriad of ways. So, like I said, this is a very philosophical series. It's not your typical Terminator action movie.
No, it gives you plenty of time.
So it gets me thinking.
It asks a lot of questions and it gives you very few answers.
But is that not the point of series? I guess is not to preach to you. It's not to tell you what it is. It's to get you thinking. Something that people have forgotten today. They just want it spoon-fed to them. But maybe it's just an age thing. Or I remember when TV shows or films tried to get you to think. I didn't tell you what the answer was. It wasn't the point. The point was to carry on the discussion.
Good God, you've got to go back a while for those, though, haven't you?
Oh God, yeah, that's that. And I actually think this is reflective. If you look at entertainment and you look at where it's gone, like I said, people just want spoon-fed. They want the 10 second, like it's down to like 10 seconds now. 30-second clip is too long for the attention span.
Oh, that's just it. I mean, look at TikTok. Sorry, America, not you. But look at TikTok. The length of the average TikTok video, the length of the average YouTube short. I swear to God, they're getting shorter every day.
Yeah,
because
it used to be a minute. Now a minute's too much. 30 seconds too much, and it's recommended 25-second videos.
Jesus, it's like what? It's like I'm reading a book. I can't see anybody. One. It's not going to be long. It's like, oh, this is a really good book. I recommend it to you. Oh, can't you just tell me what the story is so I can like get on watching these TikTok videos? It's like people need to like it. It'd be nice if we could make people take a step back and get them more interested in longer things.
But once again, it has to be a point of crisis. People do not act unless it gets to that stage of, oh shit, we're about to get wiped out. Oh, we better do something. We need to start thinking. It has to be that. It's that fight or flight syndrome, isn't it? It's that thing that every animal has and we are losing. And I think this is the journey. It's talking about that journey of us losing our humanity, our vital existence.
Yeah,
because we're letting the machines, like when you won't even walk your own dog,
it's like that
round the block, and you get the robot to do it. You're fucking lost. You're lost. You're pointless.
Yeah, but it's like I mean, is it me? Tell me, you don't see many people on the streets during this series. The only point where you really see more than like the occasional person on the streets is during scenes when there's a protest taking place.
Mm-hmm. But like today, funny enough, people don't leave their homes.
You should say that.
People sit on their devices. Oh, I have to go and read now. I've been told out to go. Yeah. That's it's just holding up a mirror.
It comes across as a very, very empty, very cold world that they live in.
Yes, and that's
bit like this one.
Yeah,
only
it's very close to the knuckle.
Only with like robots.
Well, once again, it's the Terminator's showing Skynet is the balancing force. Humanity, through its subconscious, has created because it knows it needs to balance itself. It needs the adversary.
Yeah,
it's a human instinct.
Humanity is the only thing that can match me. Get rid of you, therefore get rid of humanity to preserve myself. But now there is a second AI, which Dr. Malcolm has created.
Yep.
Who he wants to answer the question: can mankind be saved? But refuses, through his own fear, to actually flip the switch and unleash it on mankind to answer the question.
Yeah, and I suppose that's I don't suppose we mentioned that, but this is set in Tokyo. New Tokyo. This is not set in LA. This is set in Tokyo. The events of Judgment Day have basically already happened, but to a
'Cause-
smaller scale.
Yeah, I was thinking it's like okay, Judgment Day has taken place, but like nowhere is it mentioned in any other Terminator films or franchises that there are parts of the world out there which haven't been destroyed by Skynet.
Do you know
But
why?
then again, it's oh, hang on a
Because
minute.
they're Americans. Americans see the entire world as their country. It's just the way they are. The entire world is their country, and there's nothing else. So if their country gets wiped out, that's the entire world. It's just their worldview and Hollywood's worldview.
But it kind of makes sense that it's happened there, because there are countries out there with like defenses which are specifically tailored to destroy incoming missiles.
Yeah, that's a
Looking
whole
at you,
point
Middle
of
East.
the nuclear deterrent. The whole point of the nuclear deterrent is to stop land armies marching in their hundreds of thousands. And it's basically mutually assured destruction. Once one person presses a switch, the AI takes over. Once somebody starts to launch, everything else is automated. Like there's nobody has to react. It just happens.
I'd like to think that there's no one out there who's actually like stupid enough to press the button, because who wants to go down in history as the man who destroyed the world?
Well, you wouldn't, because we know
or was
from
the
now.
person who destroyed the world.
But once again, the original Terminator was set in the 80s, like height of the Cold War.
Yeah.
So it played into that too.
It is a very Cold War movie.
Even the future war scene, it's all very Eastern European, block blown to bits. It's not, but that was the thought of the time. That's what we live with. But this is going, all right, we're in Tokyo. That happened over there because missile streaks, etc. doesn't happen, but it doesn't mean it's over. Now they've got to go, we've got a bit of time. And Malcolm is basically trying to come up with a solution. Or he's been working on it.
I'd say from episode 2, we've just jumped to episode 5. It's like meanwhile, back in episode 3.
Yeah. Well, episode 2 is when the Terminator first comes and tries to take out John, or tries to take out Malcolm.
Yeah, it's got.
Excuse me.
Trying to remember where we are.
It's basically the Terminator come back, and his target is Malcolm.
Yes, because I remember the scene with the lockpicks.
Yeah, he just.
Wait, I honestly think this is a Hollywoodism. This is like a nod to the fact that the person who's wrote this is not the kind of person who writes your regular anime, because it's like the Terminator opens the door, drops the lockpicks. Therefore, that means that the viewer doesn't have to worry about how the Terminator got through the door, because you saw him drop the lockpicks he needed, drop the lockpicks he used. It's kind of like it's almost like but we'll show you him dropping the lockpicks so you don't have to worry about it.
Which, to be honest, the thing's meant to be, it's clever, it can get places, it's not just smashing through.
It's Hollywood hand-holding. Right. Wouldn't it have been so much more cooler if he just kind of like, you saw him with the thing sticking out of his finger and he just screwed the tip of his finger back on? Because we've already learned out that this Terminator can change shape. Because every time he changes into another set of clothes, he changes into the body form and face of the person whose clothes he's wearing.
So he's not quite the T-1000, but he's
not quite a T-1000, but he's not quite a T-100 either.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of like, I just remember seeing it and thinking like, that's weird.
And the crossbow was cool. I like that.
The crossbow was really cool. A Terminator with a silent weapon.
See, I'm thinking, because once again, back to the TV show, there's a Terminator model that's called John Henry. And it effectively gets plugged into Skynet's brother. And they try to teach it humanity. You know, and that's what the whole philosophical side goes off.
Yeah.
And it was connected. Basically, I couldn't learn, so they connected it to the internet.
Interesting.
So
I may have to watch this never. I may have to watch Sarah Connor.
It's good. Yeah, Summer Glau's in it, and she just acts like Summer Glau, you know, wooden plank, but still. Lena Headey plays Sarah Connor in it, and she's actually quite decent.
It's like wooden plank. That's okay. It's all this like trauma of the future war. I can understand wooden plank, PTSD, all that lot. But it's just kind of it. The more I read about Sarah Connor, the more I think I wish they'd put some of that thought into the films. But every time I read something about Sarah Connor, it's like panned, terrible, awful. Don't watch it. Rubbish.
I give up after Genesis. I was done.
Yeah. I remember what the film. Yeah, I saw Genesis, and it was just kind of like, what is?
Was there? Have any come after that?
I have no idea.
There's one or two come after that, but that was it. That was the movie that done me in.
I saw Genesis a couple of years after its release on DVD, and it's like that was the absolute last Terminator thing I have watched since this. And the main reason I watched this because it was kind of like animated Terminator. What's that going to be like?
Yeah, but also this comes from it's coming from a different angle. Not just your typical save John Connor again. At least they're not doing that storyline. Yeah, and we've got Malcolm. He's basically talking to Kokoro, and she turned into the Weird Sisters from Hamlet. You know, she's now got 3 personalities.
It's the 3 aspects of Kokoro. But it's I've got to. Kokoro is an interesting character. I like the fact she's like if Malcolm's like, will you help us fight Skynet? And it's like, well, I don't know, because I don't know Skynet's reasons for fighting you yet, do I? You're going to have to, once you connect me to the outside world, I'll have this access to the same information that he's got, and I'll be able to make my own decision. But what if you decide to help Skynet destroy mankind? Well, you're just going to have to take that risk, aren't you? I love that. I absolutely love that they've created this savior for mankind, but they don't actually know if it is a savior or not.
Yeah, because it can't be a dumb blunt instrument, because it has to outwit Skynet. It has to have the same capability, and to have the same capability, it needs to have the same access. The thought process, and act autonomously. And
they have such good conversations with each other. I mean, the one about like where they're discussing like mankind and how everything that mankind has ever invented or created has been used for war. And she's like, look at me, I'm a weapon.
But that's back to what I said. It's only through crisis. It's human nature. We're never going to stop it. And I think the sooner we get past that and understand this is who we are as a species, and stop this. There's no utopia. There's no fluffy navel gazing, everyone hand holding and skipping off into the sunset. That's not who we are.
I think that was supposed to be the age of Aquarius, and we all know what happened there.
And that's it. That's been the eternal conversation. It's only through that existential threat, that common enemy, that threat from outside, the other, is where humanity galvanizes itself.
No, I agree. Look how many major innovations in science there have been since World War II.
Yeah, and that's
innovation is born of need. So during warfare, I mean, look at superglue. Superglue is great for sticking things together, including people, which is what it was designed for.
Developed in the First World War for wounds.
Yeah, developed. I can't remember this. I can't remember actually when, but developed for closing cuts and bullet holes. It's like it's like gaffer tape developed during war. Velcro developed during war.
The steam iron.
The steam mine developed during
Because the point of ironing clothes was to kill the lice.
Mm.
That was the whole point of ironing clothes. So there you go. There's an entire industry of
the,
Tefal wouldn't have existed
like
without
the,
World War One.
the jet engine, gunpowder rockets,
Mm.
modern rockets that we used to put God knows what into orbit these days.
But look at engineering, look at the
Designed to throw
logistics.
bombs in war. It's
Heavy machinery like caterpillars. You know, the tank was invented in First World War.
yeah.
Look at the floating pontoon bridges that they could make jetties anywhere. Putting these things together, all that kind of stuff. And look where we are now. Because there wasn't that, like, people are inventing wars because there isn't that existential threat. People are creating conflict and they're creating drama because we need it. That's why, for example, social media and the internet is all drama, because we need to know where the danger is for us to act. And because there isn't an actual one, it has to be invented. And that's what's messing with people's head, because it doesn't sit right. People know it's manufactured. People know it's not actually happening. And it's being controlled. It's a psyop operation, you know, this constant bump, bump, bump all the time. Because we're trying to artificially, back to what this series is about, what happens naturally, just we're a tribal species, you know, that's how we operate, and that's how the natural order of things is. Take that away and then trying to manufacture stuff, it doesn't sit right. It's like the first, back to the Matrix, people wouldn't accept the program.
Yeah.
People aren't accepting the program. That's why everyone's
not
depressed.
accept that life was perfect.
You can't say it's perfect, or you can't say it's threat serve when it's not. You know, you can't manufacture. It has to actually be real, which is once again why it's always at the point we turn. The problem is because we're going so far down the rabbit hole, we might not be able to turn next time because we're getting lazier and more complacent and more reliant. The next crisis point, we may not be able to come back from the brink.
I say this is we're all so addicted to these like flashing lights on our phones and monitors and tablet screens and things like that. What's going to happen if one day they switch off? What happens if like the internet signal goes out or electricity stops?
I have seen that.
What are people? It's like unrelated, but it's like apparently TikTok in America. I apologize for this, slightly political, but it's like they're on about giving. It's going to get a 90-day reprieve so that the owners of TikTok can sell America's TikTok to the Americans. What happens if they don't want to? What happens if they turn around and say, "Nah, sorry, America, you banned us. That's it. Boop, we're gone." I honestly believe that I think there's going to be protests. It wouldn't surprise me if there were riots.
Such a thing to put your entire personality into.
I know it's
which is ironic when we're sitting here in front of a screen having a conversation about it, you know. But at the same time, I never downloaded it. I don't even have.
No,
I
don't use it. I don't use. I occasionally use X. Never bothered with Facebook. Haven't bothered with TikTok. It's like I'm not a very like socially active person online. It's like this and Discord is as socially active, and the odd roleplay game are socially as active as I get online.
Yeah, unless I'm actually
because it's something. Like I am. Besides the fact that you can't shut me up, I am quite a private person. I like to play my cards close to my chest. It's like on the internet, I am me. I am Flea. I have a name other than that. I have a life here in real life, which I don't.
And
really,
it's not Drabokowski.
I don't really share it online.
Yeah, and you don't have to. There's no requirement to. People though put their entire personality into the machine. Like I said, there's a certain person I used to know and would never look after their phone. I would continually lose it, and I mean it was hell for hours until that phone was recovered again. And it happened more than once, and I'm talking complete meltdown, like just shut down, sitting there busy rocking back and forward, didn't have their phone.
I've got to be honest. I don't like it. I don't like it when I haven't got my phone with me. But that's more like a security. It's not a security kind of thing. It's an anxiety thing. because I know if I haven't got my phone with me, if something bad happens to me or something bad happens to someone I know, there's no way to get in touch with them. There's no way for them to get in touch with me. It's that kind of thing. So I can understand that, but for someone to live their
But that's
life,
the difference between you could replace phone with radio or analog phone.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? That was a back in the day thing. This is different. It's not the actual phone, it's the mini computer, which it is, because I think people use the phone part the least. And it's not being addicted to it. Like I said, and this is shown, like you won't even walk your own dog. Like that's where it comes. And the cat,
yeah, it's like it's almost it's kind
it's
of
filling
like,
a gap.
Yeah,
is a carnal gap where we've lost the carnality of.
Mobile devices today have taken away a lot of the need for people to like leave their homes and socialize.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like the introduction of the robots, the androids in this story, have basically removed people's need to leave the house altogether.
And that's not good.
That's
sowing the seeds of your own destruction. I've seen it. Like I said, I've seen people can't function in a social gathering, like with people, and they'll fall apart, leave, and then they'll be straight in the phone, like haha, tee, I'm life and soul of the party, all through the little box. And it's that line again, and that's where this whole series has the conversation, which go back to Asimov or H.G. Wells, the external threat and the complacency of humanity. This conversation's been going on for over a century now. Where is the line? Go back to Mary Shelley. Where is the line? Where do you cross it? And that's the function of horror. This is the genre that explores things that others don't. The uncomfortable aspect of it.
It is kind of weird, but it's like the setting. The setting is the horror, not the characters in it.
Yeah. The Terminator is just a tool at this point. It's the least, until near the end, it's not really the character you're focusing on. It's just going through its routine. We've seen that before. That's not what you're watching in this series. It's everything else. It's the state of humanity. It's the reaction that Judgment Day has already happened, and the pockets of humanity that haven't been affected are waiting. Is it our time next? They sort of know the existential threat, so therefore the likes of Malcolm has been galvanized in the action. Then we'll get Misaki. She's the one who's come back, isn't it?
I think it was
the Terminator comes after the kids, isn't that right? Her and the kids after failing to get Malcolm.
Yeah. Yes. Let's see.
Sorry, we kind of went over a bit of a
my fault. I hold my hand up.
No, it's the nature of this. That's the nature of this series. If you go into this series, if you're just expecting pew pew zap zap, then that's not what you're going to get. If you want something a bit deeper, like more philosophical, that's what this series is exploring, and it's good. Like I said, I do enjoy that.
Because it's like we skipped over episode 2. We skipped over what I consider to be a plot-based MacGuffin. The bit where Malcolm is attacked in his car, the Terminator punches its way through the windscreen, and Malcolm just kicks it away.
Yeah, just
because he needs to escape at that moment.
Bit ham-fisted.
There are a couple of moments like that, but nothing that spoils the episode, spoils the series.
Yeah, like I said, if it wasn't for the rest, if you were just relying on this as an action movie, you'd be very disappointed.
Yes,
that's not like I said. That's almost like you're going through the motions where the Terminator's going to have a try, but the Terminator's not going to kill Malcolm because where's the rest of the plot?
Oh yeah, because it's only like what? It's only like episode 2. There's like
Yeah, you know
4
what I mean?
episodes to go.
So really, we're not expecting much. So what is it about this series that drags you in? It's the conversation. It's Kokoro. It's
I've got to be like I mentioned before I started streaming. I found the first 4 episodes really hard to watch. I mean, it's like there were bits and pieces in the story that like kept bringing me back to it. But it was kind of like, if it was right, I'll be honest. If I wasn't watching this to speak with you tonight and talk through it, this is one of those series that I've probably given up after episode 3, because I always say, whenever you start watching something, always give it at least 3 episodes.
mhm.
If it hasn't caught you by the end of the 3rd episode, it's probably not going to catch you. And it wasn't until episode 7 that this actually made me sit up and go, hello, this is interesting.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, because it's a philosophical series, and I feel like they have to go through some of the tropes of the Terminator franchise. Like, I think you said it, sorry, if you replace the Terminator with anything else,
Yeah,
or remove the Terminator, this would be a completely different show.
yeah. If it was just a show where you got like Malcolm talking to the AI Kokoro, trying to convince her to save humanity and giving her examples of why humanity is great and why humanity should be saved, you wouldn't have lost anything by it not having a Terminator in it. You wouldn't have lost any. You could have had like something going on with the family, but it's like the main. It's like, in fact, I think the main the main story, one of the main storytelling parts of this is the conversations between Malcolm and Kokoro.
Yeah. And watching society, you have to get a glimpse in what society is at the time.
Yeah.
So getting those glimpses of society and the reliance on AI technology and basically losing humanity. And that sort of feeds into the argument. Yes, say it wasn't Skynet, but another AI just wiped out, say, America and Europe, for example.
Yeah.
And this is Japan sitting going, bloody hell, what happened there? Is this going to happen to us?
Or it could
You
be
would get just as much of a series out of this. Or in fact,
even,
this would be better as a movie.
even if it was just, I mean, even if it was just Malcolm trying to, if Kokoro was like the belligerent, the overall controlling AI was going to destroy mankind, and Malcolm was trying to convince Kokoro that humanity is worth saving. That in itself is enough to fill. Is in itself enough to fill a feature film.
Yeah, I was going to say, if that was a movie,
think back to War Games, and that was just a machine playing noughts and crosses.
Yeah.
But
totally.
War Games was awesome. War Games, for its time, laugh if you want to, was a really good horror movie. Because you've got this cold, calculating machine that is determined to destroy everything, and there's only one person who can stop it.
And they're not the brightest, the smartest, I mean, they're just happen to be wrong place, wrong time.
They've got like a massively dysfunctional family. A lot of what is their own part, because he has basically shut himself off his family, away from his family since his wife died.
Yeah.
And he only cares about one thing, and that is this AI. And he is, for the amount of for the lack of love he shows to his family, for his cold demeanor, for the way he doesn't care about anything, is absolutely the worst person to be teaching something about humanity.
Yeah, because he's lost his.
Because he has so little left of his own. And I love it. Right, it wasn't until episode 7 that really came to the front, and I loved it.
Yeah,
I'd watch this series again just for the last 2 episodes.
If it basically has the bearer's soul, and he realizes it's not a philosophical exercise, because the logical thing to do is like, what humanity doing right by. So it has to be the emotional argument, and that's, if you don't have emotions, or if you've locked your emotions away, then you can't make that argument. And that's where he has to embrace his own pain, that his own world fell apart, and Kokoro's his obsession, his coping mechanism.
I do like Kokoro's character.
Yeah, but this is where the plot is very close to iRobot. Just, I think, closer to the book than the movie.
I was going to say, I've seen the movie. I've never read the book.
I used to read, like, 90s, I read Asimov, and...
I've got to be honest, I've never been a big fan of Asimov, though.
It's only, you know, you're a nerdy kid. You have to read nerdy stuff to get your nerd badge.
Unfortunately, I read Philip K. Dick. You know, I'm one of the people who watched Blade Runner and went, that's not the Andre's Dream of Electric Sheep. It's completely different. It's got nothing to do with it.
But Ridley's
Slightly
the best.
Thick glasses, you know.
Don't you listen to him, Ridley? You did the bestest ever.
Yeah. Got a Blade Runner. Blade Runner is an incredible. Right, I like the original Blade Runner. Not the. Is it? Oh damn! Which is the one with the voiceover? Is that the remake? Was that the edit or the original? God, there was one or the other. But I like.
God, I can't remember now. The sequel just put me off. I'm like, yeah.
I kind of like both Blade Runner and the editorial cut, just for the way it handles the opening. Because in one of them, you've just got like the cityscape with all the flames and the giant like neon posters and everything.
I think the original one didn't have the voiceover.
Yeah, the other one, you've got the voiceover where you've just got like Deckard basically complaining about his life. Love it. But but I'm tangenting again.
No, but it's all. This isn't a straight up Terminator series. That's what I mean. They're taking bits and pieces from everything.
It's almost like,
replace the Terminator with a replicant.
Like it's almost it's. I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's almost as if they're using Terminator just to bring the Terminator name to it, so that when it actually goes out into like the public domain, everybody's like, "Oh, Terminator," because the actual Terminator itself plays such a small role in the background. Yeah. It just turns up every so often, fights someone, fires a couple of bullets, it disappears back into the shadows, comes out again, hurts someone, disappears into the shadows, says a few words, rides a motorbike. You know, that kind of thing. It's not until the very end of it that you actually get to understand the Terminator's presence there.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this different. Maybe being shackled, that's a good and a bad thing. It's not for brand recognition, but because it's brand recognition, it's shackled to the Terminator tropes. So maybe that's why the first couple of episodes are just because they have to shoehorn the Terminator in, they have to shoehorn the Future War in.
Yeah, shall we mention like the police precinct assault? I'm not sure if that happens now or happens in like the next episode or not, but there's like Terminator one-handedly takes down the police station.
Yeah, this is episode 4. It happens.
Oh, we're almost we're there. We're on like 3, 4.
Yeah, because then we've got Misaki is basically playing the Marcus Wright, you know, the sort of hybrid thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've got to be honest, Misaki is one of the nicest people. Wouldn't say blue to a goose. Misaki, by the way, is like the children's. She's kind of like housekeeper come nanny kind of character. She wouldn't say blue to a goose. She's really, really nice. She doesn't argue with anybody. She always says the right thing. She's really, really, really nice, and she decides to go hand to hand with the Terminator. What a gal! Yeah.
And nearly wins.
And she nearly wins. She really nearly wins up until the point where the Terminator rips her arm off. And it is revealed that Misaki herself is a machine.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Marcus Wright, you know, from Terminator Salvation.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. Right, the studio that animated this is a studio called Production IG, Production Egg. Yeah, They have handled plots similar to this before, and it's kind of like the bit where in episode 1, episode 1 or 2, where she's preparing vegetables for dinner, and she cuts her finger, and she's just kind of there staring at the blood until one of the children tells her she's bleeding. Or then when she's cleaning herself off in the bathroom, she kind of like fixates on one of the lines on her neck. I'm kind of like, she's a robot.
Mm. Oh, you know straight away something's not regular. But that's an anime thing as well, isn't it? When they always have the super sweet character, there's always something beneath the surface.
Yeah, but it's kind of like Malcolm is kind of like throwing out hints towards like who he is as well.
Yeah, but no, it's not a straight up just like I said, he's almost like a Dyson character, but he's not quite.
Yeah, because it's we're on 4, but back towards the end of 3, where Eiko kind of sort of beats up that Terminator and throws it down a lift shaft, because of course Eiko does. Reika, the young girl, turns around to him and says, "Was that a Terminator?"
Mm-hmm.
Which I've got to be quite honest, that is one of the parts in the early episodes that made me go, wait, what? How does this how old is she supposed to be? 7, 8, 9, maybe year-old kid know what a Terminator is?
This is what kept me going, because I knew there was more to the story. You were not just getting your standard back in time to kill the chosen one.
Yeah,
there's more play here. The fact that they're not trying to prevent Judgment Day, it's happened. That's over there. This is what's happening over here, and it's got its own problems. I like that.
It's kind of like it's not terribly sorry. I'm sorry to say this again. Terminator Zero. It's not the most thrilling thing I've watched, but it just keeps throwing out these little hooks that snag you in the cheek and make you turn your face back towards it.
Which is once again the point. It's not an action movie.
Yeah, there were several times when it's like, wait, what did that person say? And I'd skip back to listen to what they said again.
Mm-hmm.
I did it quite a lot, mostly starting like towards the end of 4 through 5 and 6.
It's been building you up. That's the thing. It's dropping all, because there's quite a lot going on, and then especially with time travel movies, you can't be ham-fisted with time travel movies, because you have to prepare the audience, because if you don't, it just becomes a mess. And we've seen that the Terminator franchise itself, it just gets so ham-fisted that people are like, I can't process what's going on.
Yeah, because it's like the whole, you're going to go back and you're going to change the future, and now it's like,
do you go back
and now you're going to create a new future.
But this is the thing, especially with Eiko's character. Eiko didn't go back through her own timeline. She went back in time, yes.
Yeah.
But she's landed on a different timeline.
Yeah, she's
because that's the nature of time travel.
Yeah, she's created a new timeline from the moment she arrived. Eternalism. It's a load of cobblers. It really is.
That's the eternal question or the discussion with time travel.
It's like
you can't go back in your own linear timeline, because
that's the modern that is how people are explaining the fact that no one has gone. That like people say, time travel will never be developed. Time travel will never be invented because no one has gone back in time and killed Hitler. Right? Oh yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, okay. So time travel, all these disasters, all these things that have happened, like nobody's gone back and tried to stop them. That's how we know time travel doesn't exist. But now they've decided that when you go back to a point in time, you create a branch in that timeline and create like a parallel universe with a new timeline.
But so is it a parallel universe, or is it like going over a hard drive and wipes out?
Nobody knows.
So like defragmenting the drive. So
yeah, no, that's kind of what they're getting at in this, isn't it? Because it's the way when the prophet is describing it with their sparkler, joss stick, incense. I'm not quite sure what it is, but instead of being a straight line and going back, she draws it as a zigzag line where a new timeline starts from where the person goes back to.
Because that's the whole thing. There would be no point in time travel if everything's predetermined.
Mm.
The only thing you could do is go back as an observer. I remember the Twilight Zone covering that once.
Oh, Twilight Zone, such a great series.
It touched on like a few good ones at the time. But yeah, it was the one who went back to watch JFK's assassination. A historian. It was all that whole thing of just coming back to observe, but then by being the minute he was recognized, they had to change the timeline. But they realized that by changing the timeline and I'm not getting assassinated, things that happen were worse. You know, it's that whole thing of what do you do? And then what he did is he was a descendant of JFK's. What he did is he got in the car instead of his great-great-grandfather or something. You know,
wow.
Let him go back to the future. That was the ending of it. But it's that whole thing is, if everything's predetermined, then there's no point in time travel because you can't change anything. But if you do change anything, you're not going to go back and be anything recognizable. It's like dropping a pebble in the water, the normal ripples, and then, I'm going to change this and just pick up a rock and going, foof. Do you know what I mean? That's...
It's like, let's talk about time travel. I'm getting a headache. It's.
Do you understand though why this?
Oh yeah, we could sit and talk about.
We've just done this in about 5 minutes. It's like
I do like and I do appreciate the fact that the Prophet took the time to explain how time travel works in their universe. But it's kind of like, if you remember in the Terminator, it's like in the original Terminator, the Terminator had been sent back to kill Sarah Connor so John Connor wouldn't be born. Thus meaning that in the future, John Connor wouldn't be there to start the resistance. Yeah. And it failed, but it's because that was the old loop timeline where you go back and then the timeline continues. In the later films, they made it so that it starts a new timeline each time.
Because they've run out of ideas, they're creatively bankrupt, and they're milking a franchise till the others were raw.
Yeah. I kind of want more Zero. I want more stuff like this. I want more stuff that examines the minutiae, gets into it and just kind of examines everything that's going off, the smallest little detail.
Yeah, because there's got another factor in this that we haven't really talked about, and that's the one NNOs.
They are creepy, you've got to be honest.
Yeah.
The fact that they look like something that could have been designed by Boston Dynamics makes them even creepier.
That's once again, that's the horror, isn't it? This is possible. These things are walking around now. Yes, albeit they're not on every street corner, but it's only
they're not throttling dogs because the dog doesn't want to go for a walk. You know, it's that kind of thing. But yeah, they're kind of like there, but they're very in the background. I think you actually see less of them than you do the Terminator in the beginning.
But you're introduced that they're there. It's
because it's like it's like you just see them. It's like the dog walking clip we've talked about. Why would you have a dog and then not walk it? It's like it's one of these things that's walking the dog. You see them at street corners. You see them I think the first time you hear one of them speak is when Misaki goes in to buy that robot cat. Because she talks to it and it stands up and it looks round because it can't see her.
Yeah, and that's once again, we couldn't have this all thrown at us at once. You'd just be going, huh? So the more I'm talking about this, the more I'm understanding why the first 5-6 episodes have to happen this way. Because there's a massive information dump.
There is this. If they did, it's like if you wanted to rush it, you could probably take what was in the first 4 episodes and squeeze everything into just two 23-minute episodes, including music. Yeah, so 20-minute episodes.
Oh God,
you could easily put it.
Take on board.
Yeah, but it'd be like going right then, read this book and just flicking it in front of a person's eyes and expecting them to read it.
Yeah,
There'd be far too much information for like you for your brain to like take on at once, and you'd miss huge you'd miss reams of information that the storyteller is trying to tell you.
because once it gets to episode 7, there's not much time
Mm.
left,
Uh,
and it's bringing it together.
Mm.
But you couldn't just have that all happening. You know what I mean? You'd just be sitting good, huh?
Yep.
But yeah, then we've got is it episode 5?
Episode 5, the
This is where-
the one that begins with hopscotch.
Yeah,
because it's got, oh wait, is it's like episode 4 the one? Episode 4 is the one where at the end he basically brings Kokoro online, or is that? No, I'm pretty sure that's it. That's it, because it's like Kokoro comes online at the beginning of episode 5, because at the end of episode 4 is where you see all the missile launchers.
yep. And it's basically now or never. Skynet's getting ready to launch the assault.
So it's just from the fact that it's like Malcolm finally found his balls and had the guts to bring Kokoro online to connect her to the rest of the world, that actually saved the island and nation of Japan from being just another fireball in Skynet's plans. Because I actually think that the missile launch scene is chilling.
It harkens back to the 80s, nothing else. It's just
I lived through the Cold War. Thank you very much.
as did I. We all knew we were just 1 minute, just one button push, one incident away from nuclear hellfire.
The 4-minute warning, because that's the 4-minute warning, because that's how long it would take a missile. That's how long it would take a missile launched from a nuclear submarine in the English Channel of the North Sea to hit its target. You're going to do it in 4 minutes. Swear a lot. Run around in a panic.
Basically, I did CBRN training and back in the day, and basically what I got from it is you break discipline once, you're dead. What's the point?
Yeah.
You know, you went through, you had your naughty suit, gas mask and all that other stuff, and you had drills for eating and drinking water and stuff, and you had your DKP powder, and you had to do all this blood rub and all, and you had your patches you put on, the litmus paper and stuff, and you had your decontamination. So if you went in and out of places, you got scrubbed down, but all you had to do was have one bad day, not washed down properly, or not
one of your cuffs not quite sealed as it should be.
You get a snag in a branch. That's it. You're game over. And it was almost like, what the hell is the point? You may as well just stand out in the street, put your arms wide, and go, I'm ready.
It's crazy thinking about, like, as kids we just like ran around and played with all that crap going on behind us.
But once again, I think we were happier because the accidental threat, we knew where it was.
Yeah.
In the back of your brains, it's coming from over past the Berlin Wall, past the Iron Curtain.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to come from. This is how it's going to happen. And funny enough, while having that in the back of your head, you were happier.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
We're a weird species. That's the thing about humanity. We are a strange beast.
You can understand how the Matrix works, though, can't you? Because it's kind of like, we don't want to be happy. We want to have something out there that is making our life miserable.
I don't think it's
because it's like it's the struggle that makes life doable.
Yeah,
it's like you, instead of just living there in kind of like a wonderful paradise where everything is brought to you on a silver platter by insert like actor, actress, supermodel, whatever.
They're the unhappiest people.
Yeah,
the ones that have everything.
Because it's like
miserable. They're the ones that take ODs. They have
just imagine having any whim that you have just like brought to you at the snap of a finger. For the first couple of days, that'd be absolutely fantastic.
It's like going on holiday, isn't it?
What happens when you get? Yeah, it's like you go on holiday.
All-inclusive holiday.
The first 4 or 5 days, the first 3 or 4 days, brilliant. After that, God, I'm bored. Let's leave the hotel and go out and like have a walk on the beach, or like see the locals picking olives, or like go out and try
Yeah,
some
and me,
local.
I can't do
Go
this.
out and
This
try
is
some
not
of their
right. It doesn't.
food.
It's not fulfilling. Yeah. And who are the people that are the most bitter, twisted? The ones that do have everything handed to them.
I was going to say
They've been brought
Elon.
up like that. Second, third. It's never the person that builds the empire.
Yeah.
It's the child and the grandchild are the
Mm.
ones that end up just being completely broken, because what do they have to aim for?
Nothing.
And
Absolutely
they won't give
nothing.
up, because obviously they've so accustomed, they don't know life unlike what they have. So they're too afraid to give it up. They don't have the talent. I don't think they have the talent to build
Mm.
what was built before, because the bar so high.
Yeah.
Tolkien's a good example. Look at his grandson, obviously dipshit. That's what happens. Do you know what I mean? It's just that, look at companies where when the ownership's been passed down to child to grandchild, by the time it gets to grandchild, it's fucked.
Yeah.
Because they don't have, and it's just a natural progression. We need to actually build ourselves. We need to struggle to have what we have, because that's what makes it worthwhile. We need to know where the danger is, so we're primed for it. When we don't know, then we then invent it and we do our heads in, or we're told where it is. If it isn't there, and it doesn't make sense, we wreck our own brains, because it's human. It's humanity. It's what we are as a species.
It's like this. It's like you start watching this, and you can pretty much say it's a dystopian story. It's set in a dystopian world.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not until you're several episodes in and you're watching that you actually like see it. It's kind of like dystopia light, because it's like you don't see the. It's like when you read a novel set in a dystopian world, or you watch a film or some other anime that's set in dystopia, you can tell it's dystopia because it's dark, it's murky, there's armed people on the streets, there's shortages, people are going without.
It's very in your face. It's past the point of crisis, right to the
But this is kind of like it's right on the cusp. It's balancing right on the brink.
I would say it's closer to Mad Max 1.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of Mad Max.
If you think about Mad Max 1, civilization still existed. It was, but it was starting to break down in the fringes. It's not Mad Max 2 yet. It's Mad Max 1.
Yeah. Good thinking. I hadn't thought of the Mad Max movies. Yeah, because I was trying to think of something you could liken it to.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's that it's heading that direction. There's a possibility it can pull back from the brink, but there's that much momentum that's going to be very difficult. And then Mad Max 2 shows us where I went.
And then just when you think, I mean, it's kind of like it kind of, if it had left things as it was when Kokoro comes online, you think that's it. It's like that's it. Boom, mankind is saved. But no, just before Kokoro comes online, is when it shows you the missiles being launched. So he literally brings Kokoro online after the missiles have been launched.
Yeah, at the crisis point.
I think that was a great move. That was such a good move, because it would have been so easy just to be like, oh yes, me and Skynet, we're in talks, we're thinking about it, we're trying to work out what could be done. No, bang, the world is gone, apart from Japan and maybe a few other places.
Yeah, good.
Although you've got to be honest, looking at that where it showed you the globe and the warheads were going off, it pretty much covered everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like, there's not that many warheads in the world.
That's that sort of thing. This is the last sort of little island, and it's coming from a Japanese perspective, just out there, which is fine. I don't know if it left half the world or something. I don't think it had the same impact or gravitas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's kind of it's one of those moments where you see the warheads start to detonate, and you're supposed to be like, oh my god, wow, and it's just like just as at the last minute, it's like that missile streaks into the sky and destroys all the warheads that are aimed for the islands of Japan. And then it's just kind of, she's like, "You were right, Malcolm. Skynet." It's like, I don't know why I keep giving her like a Hal kind of voice from 2001. Like Kokoro has the greatest confidence in this mission, but it's like you were right. She remind like the only version I could find that I could watch, because I don't have Netflix, was the English version, but it didn't really suffer. But the woman they had doing the voice of Kokoro is the same voice as the woman from the Animatrix, the Second Renaissance.
God, it's been used.
It's kind of like this is really a Matrix moment. Oh wait, who does this voice? But it was such a great moment, and Malcolm's just kind of sitting there with his head in his hands.
Yeah, and basically what it is Kokoro going to save Japan, or
or is she, because she hasn't decided yet. She's given Malcolm and humanity a reprieve.
But meanwhile, the one NNOs are taking over.
Yeah, meanwhile, iRobot in the streets. Yeah. Meanwhile, the man-machine march. That's another thing that reminded me of the Matrix. The way the machines just kind of like grabbed weapons off people.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's just bring down. It's all to play for.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this is episode 7. This is all happening.
No, this is episode 5.
Oh, sorry, 5. Yeah.
Because it was one of the questions that was asked at
Back to the Future.
Is Skynet controlling the one NNOs?
Yeah, but at this point we don't know, because obviously Kokoro hasn't come online yet. Or is this the way it was always going to go?
I say she's online, but it's like she's online because she's
but this has already started.
Yeah. It's just one of those questions like, what's happening?
But I think because we've got all the little tidbits, we know that the one NOs are about. We've seen like that scene with the dog was really pivotal. Believe it or not,
yeah,
really was a good storytelling device to show that they take things literally.
Yeah, but it's like I see where you're coming from. Though, who was in control of them?
Yeah, did she pass through the network that quickly? She was able to stop control immediately, or was this thing that was going to happen anyway and independent of Skynet?
Yeah, because this is I'm pretty sure this is the episode where the Terminator grows a second head, or rather, he takes a head off one of the one NNOs.
Yeah,
and he attaches it to his shoulder, so he can basically communicate with the one NNOs and make them see him as not being a threat, which I thought was a clever move. Because it kind of like it makes the Terminator to be seen as less than just a machine and actually as a thinking being.
But remember the whole point of the Terminator is meant to be an infiltration unit.
They never in the films it's like my memories of Terminator, the T-800s, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers. All they do is stomp around and shoot things.
But remember they talked about Cal Reese's, was saying the previous one had rubber skins.
Rubber skins easily spotted. Didn't have heartbeats. The only way you can spot them now is kind of like by having dogs or maybe scales so you can weigh them.
Yeah. But the problem is they hired Arnold Schwarzenegger, who can only do one thing, is be a big hulking beast. I think Robert Patrick in the second one made it more dangerous.
Yes, definitely. I've got to be honest. I always thought that the T-1000 was a bit funny. Oh, it's made of liquid metal. Yeah, But it was like he was a lot more threatening than Arnold Schwarzenegger could ever be.
Yeah, because you've shown how he was infiltrating, could find out information, went about the search, where Schwarzenegger's just Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Someone I had fun watching as a kid, I've really went off him because he just never changed. It's
like I've got to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He never acted. He never grew as an actor.
No. I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger. My favorite line from him was in Conan the Barbarian, where he gets attacked by that dog, and he's like, Arnold, you're still my favorite Conan.
I think Al Richardson would do a good job.
We shall find out. I quite enjoyed the last Conan film, but we're tangenting onto Conan now. It's getting worse.
Yeah, they're talking about. I have no interest.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. It's like the one on the nose kind of like armed themselves, and then just kind of like anyone who tries to resist them, they kill. Everyone else, they just kind of like round up. They just kind of round up, and Kokoro's there going, we have gathered you here for your safety. Please do not resist. So one guy tries to resist. And Cop's like 100 rounds.
Yeah, that's basically that is a robot.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like that. That's it. It's like you have lost your rights to anything you think you have. You're going to stay here. You're going to sit here. You're going to do as I tell you.
When I have a think.
While you're basically here. You're going to sit here and do nothing while I decide whether or not you're all good enough to survive. And it's like by this time we've learned the reason why Kokoro doesn't know is because she's technically 3 separate entities at once.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? The heart, the spirit, and the mind, or something like that.
Yeah, it's basically the Weird Sisters.
So
Bubble, Toil, and Trouble. You know, that's.
I always thought Kokoro meant soul, but that's me.
But is that not the point? She hasn't built her soul yet.
She hasn't got a soul. She's got the 3 elements that make the soul, but she as yet she isn't an individual.
Yeah, and that's part of the.
That's part of the problem, because there's like, whereas one of her constituent parts may agree with what Malcolm is saying, the other 2 may not.
Yeah.
Or if 2 of them agree, one of them is against it, and until they all agree, they can't form like the individual, which is again very deep and philosophical.
Yeah, and that's also representative AI today. Because it's all parts. You've got your GPT, which is all storytelling. You've got your AI image generators. You've got your response sex toys, basically. You've got all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I could have done without learning about those. Thanks very much.
But it's not. They're all devices still. They're not a complete thinking entity.
That's just it. It's like they are the early 2000s equivalent to handheld digital games back in the 80s. Do you remember the ones? Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, the AA battery, the big 4 bad boys.
It's like you need 3 PP3s to operate. That kind of thing. But it was basically just a flashing light that moved around on the screen, and everybody thought it was amazing and it was going to destroy civilization. That's AI at the moment. I actually think the day that somebody actually creates like a self-learning, true thinking AI, as soon as they develop it, they're going to switch it off, and it will never be done again.
Yeah, it's just that's the point of oh shit. But that's even go back to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Modern Prometheus. You know what I mean? That's been the eternal discussion. Where does mankind?
Yeah,
we're this curious being. We want to find things out. We want to discover. We want to go beyond ourselves. But where's the line get drawn?
No, right. The problem is with that kind of line is you don't know where the line can be drawn until you've stepped past it. And it's like you don't know. Totally related to the story. Robert Oppenheimer, the creator of the nuclear weapon, the founder of the Ban the Bomb movement.
Yeah, you
The, fir-
understood.
the first thing Oppenheimer did after he developed the nuclear bomb was create an organization to remove it. Because as far as Oppenheimer was concerned with that bomb, he stepped across the line.
Which you can see that, but also you can see the other side of it. But it was only a bad thing if one side had it.
Yeah.
I wonder if the information was leaked. The
Um,
balance scales. I can't remember how it all came about.
Right.
Because we're going to tinfoil hats.
There was a British guy who unfortunately was an agent for the Russians. If there's one thing we British are good, if there's one thing English, if there's one thing we English are good at with our high education and our universities like Oxford and Cambridge is really good at, it's making spies for the other side.
Lovely.
Oh, Britannia. Sorry.
It's that navel gazing. It's the whole navel gazing thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like pretty much, we're doing it now, but we're not plotting to create organizations. We're just talking about a series.
I've no intention of like being a spy. It seems all too like hard, far too energetic for me. I mean, I'd rather just sit down with a cup of tea than have like explosives hidden in my suitcase or whatever. And I'm not thinking of creating a world destroying AI because that's just too much like hard work.
Yeah.
Also, I have enough trouble like switching my computer on. Never mind programming one.
I don't have the attention span anymore.
It's like
to learn stuff I'm doing.
It's like, and now we're going to
have enough trouble. I've spent the last week going through all the various suppliers and that to get our anthology out to as many bookstores as possible. Outside of Amazon. God, that's a minefield.
God, jeez, I can imagine.
Navigating that for like 3 days straight has really drained me. And then you have the negotiating emails of, right, but you have to give it this discount, off the RRP, or we'll take it off you and stuff. You have to go back and forward to try and get something where we can both at least make it something, not making a loss, sending the thing.
Oh my God. Wow.
3 days of that, and I'm broke. So yeah, world-ending AIs is not in my radar either.
On that note though, the horrific anthology. Buy it, people. It's good.
Oh, you enjoy it?
Your story is really good, Colin.
Cheers, man. That was all fun. I'm already starting to plan for part 2, but just gotta get a few things in place, like money.
The great device. See, that's
it. I want to make sure I have the money set aside to pay people. I'm not gonna
we haven't got the money to try and take over the world. Never mind anything else.
Yeah. But it's all. But those people that do, the likes of the Malcolms and stuff that's why they're driven individuals. But then you see the sacrifice; they sacrifice all else.
Yeah, the one thing you can say about Malcolm though, he is a safe-made man because he got his money by working his way up from the bottom, as we discover in episode 6, or was it 7?
Yeah, this is episode 6 where we'll go back to the future war. Episode 6 is mainly set in the future, this one.
Yes, that's the one.
And we've got Aika. It's basically because they're getting ready basically to send her back, so they're telling her story.
Yeah, because that's what this is where the prophet starts telling us about how time travel works in this one, and how like instead of being like a direct journey back in time, it's more of a restart. You go back in time, and the time when you arrive, it basically restarts the timeline.
Yeah, so everything ahead of it's
everything that you know that had happened in the future now no longer exists, and it's just a blank page on an open book.
And that makes sense. That actually is the most sensible version of time travel. Because I think multiverses and alternate timelines is lazy. I think the idea that, this is going on, but at the same time, this is going on, so it can all happen and it can all join together again. I think that's just contrivance when the storyteller wants to pick the most popular outcome. So
Yeah.
if people don't like an ending, oh well, that didn't happen because in this timeline it did, and same as the multiverse
He didn't like the
stuff.
ending of the last book, so we'll set in a new timeline and have another book.
But this is like a one shot because you can't do it too many times. Because then nobody knows where they are, but
You've got to be quite honest. There is nothing more confusing than time travel in Terminator.
yeah, because
how it works keeps changing every couple of movies.
But I've said this before about they want everything to be a franchise these days, but they won't invest in lore masters. If you've got a franchise, you need someone in charge of the actual canon.
Yes.
And when you think of the bullshit jobs that are created over the years, really that's a sensible one to have. All things through this office.
Yeah.
Nothing gets stamped or approved, and it's checked.
I wish God, I wish more people did that with stories and films and things.
But that's, once again, people don't think beyond the end of their nose. And the main studios are finding out now because they're doing everything they can to hide it, but they're in trouble because nobody's interested.
The thing that gets me is the fact that you can have a perfectly good timeline, you can have a perfectly good story, and somebody will just go like, nope, reboot it.
Yep.
And then it all gets started from scratch.
That's what they've done with the Halloween franchise.
Oh, God.
They did it with the Rob Zombie stuff, and then they did it with David Gordon Green stuff. Like, oh, right, stop, reboot. Let's do this instead. Let's do that instead. And, yeah, the whole thing's a mess.
But why?
They're doing it with Scream right now. They're trying to contrively, if that's even a word, but they're trying to bring back all the original cast because they're stuffed.
Including the dead ones.
Including the dead ones.
Wow.
That's the shit they're in because they don't know where to go.
God, it's awful. I think what a lot of film producers need to do, or film producing companies need to do, is they just need to stop producing something for a few years, take a step back.
Go back to medium range movies. Go back to medium range. Not everything has to cost hundreds of millions.
Go out there, talk to indie writers.
There's no shortage.
Talk to people who are just it's like just because a script hasn't been written by someone who's a household name doesn't mean that it's not going to be good.
But that's nepotism. And that starts the trouble. That starts the trouble. That's another conversation. That the problem with the main studios is nepotism. It's all friend of a friend of a friend of a family and stuff. And that's why they've got themselves in the bind they're in. Everything else is just a symptom of that, and that's something that's been happening over decades.
Yeah, I've noticed that this Terminator Zero is opening up a lot of options for conversations on other things, isn't it?
Yeah, but is that not the point of art?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's kind of like it's all stuff that rates back to Terminator for the fact that person A writes a terrible story for Terminator, but because he wrote this Terminator, he gets to write another Terminator, which is done by this director who's done this and this person who's done that, and it's just all kinds of like the same. It's like it's the family Von Terminator, and that they are the only ones who are allowed to work on Terminator. This is something new. It's something fresh. Yes, it plugs in places. Like I said, the last two episodes are really good, but it allows you to ask all these questions. And because it's something new. It's like the one thing you can absolutely say about Terminator Zero, it's new.
Yeah,
there are things in there that it covers that have not been covered by anything else that Ridley's done or any of the others. God, I hope they do a film. I want to see more of this. I want to see more Terminator Zero.
Yeah, and I think they did this with Godzilla as well. That's something we have to look at. They did a few sort of retrospective or philosophical like 3 movie series on Godzilla and put them in different scenarios and stuff and talked about the good and the bad of it. But it doesn't take away. You instantly recognize Godzilla.
Yeah.
In this, you instantly recognize the Terminator. You recognize Skynet. You understand Kokoro. And like I said, because I watched the show, I get the idea of, I can't remember what Skynet's brother was called. It was the Terminator got plugged into it. And the whole point of teaching about humanity was carnality, tactile touch. How can I describe a wind blowing on your face unless a wind blows on your face?
Yeah.
How can I, unless you physically touch stuff? And that's what makes us human. It's that carnality. We are a carnal species. We need that. And this is showing the separation between humanity and carnality, because everybody's sitting in front of a screen or using a robot or not actually engaging with each other. And that's what's leading to the slow death of humanity. And I see Skynet more as a metaphor in this than an actual computer. I see it as a metaphor for human death. The human civilization coming to an end, because that's what this series has done in the first 4 or 5 episodes, is show that on the streets of Tokyo, how it's happened.
All it takes is one bloke to flip a switch, and that's it.
But it's not just the flipping the switch. You have to get to the point where the switch gets built, and the people would or the fact that apart from somebody with, who's psychotic, you need to get to that point where flipping the switch is an inevitability. And I think social media today is a good example out there. Back to what we're saying, there's people already dropped off this because it's not 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
We do long form content here. We have conversations.
So social media is the opposite of artificial intelligence. It's like artificial stupidity.
The artificial part. I think it just shines a light.
Well, no, because it's like you right. I won't mention any names, but a member of my family is very into their social media, and they honk and rave and get angry at people on social media. The moment they get off social media, they are a completely different person, because they have logged out of social media and their IQ has risen.
Yeah, it's bad. I only use it, apart from people I'm in contact with, but I only use it for this podcast. I only use it to schedule messages. Because, that's one of the things I'm really bad at advertising, because I can't go onto forums and sit in the app and get involved, because it's horrible. I actually feel myself dead inside, giving up on life. When you see people, what is it? One of them videos pops up and somebody's got a pet snake.
Yeah.
Like a constrictor or a retic or something. And you go to comments and you see the same stupid shit that you've seen for 50 years. Oh, it's evil, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, for fuck's sake. People are stupid. They show their stupidity. And I think it's worse with I think Facebook's the worst, because people aren't hiding behind avatars. It's just them. Yeah, obviously you've got your dodgy ones as well, but for the majority, that's just a person's own profile.
Yeah,
and that's how they get on openly, and you're like, oh god, that's bad.
No, like I say, tried Facebook once, just couldn't get on with it. It's my problem with social media is that it just feels like social media is too fake.
Oh yeah, everyone's only showing.
It's like everybody. Like I am living my best life, and it's like, are you really?
Well, if you were, you wouldn't be on this posting.
That's just it. If you were out there living your best life, surely you wouldn't have time to like post on stuff. It's like it's like the most exciting thing I ever received off anything like that was when one of my friends texted me Whoa, I'm on a helicopter. He wasn't, but it's probably the greatest text I've ever received. That's it. Boom. Social media can't beat that. But it's just kind of like it's interesting that it's like coming back to Terminator Zero. It's interesting that like Terminator Zero manages to show you that by showing you none of it. It just shows you like empty streets, robots doing jobs that people should be doing for the pleasure of it, like, you know, walking their dog.
Yeah.
I mean, grocery shopping. I get out grocery shopping once a week. Yeah, I kind of enjoy it. It's nice to see out there, see if there's anybody out there I know that I can say hello to. But it's just kind of like it's on the cusp of the dystopia. It's kind of worrying that it's kind of like, yeah, their world's on the cusp of dystopia. It's so much like ours.
And that's the beauty of this series, because, like I said, Skynet's just a metaphor. The Terminator is just a metaphor. They're just going about, but it's really, they don't need to be there because this is already happening anyway. And that's not the main threat. The main threat is convincing, it's not even convincing Kokoro. It's humanity convincing itself it's worthwhile going on. The fact that the one NNOs are able to round everybody up and they can plainly go with it because they're like, why are we going to fight? What is there to live for? You know, they instantly go into, and that is generations at this point of people just being broken down and their minds numbed, and apathy as well. Just that the only excitement in life is manufactured by shitstirrers online. This becomes a trend from it. Wow, everyone jumps on it, and it's so empty and hollow. And when that's gone, you can just tell people's serotonin levels have just dropped, and then they're empty again until the next thing, and it's tragic.
It's so well told in this, though. It's so well told because it's like it doesn't shove it in your face. It allows it to creep up on you. And it's not until like the literally the end of the second act comes to an end that it actually just kind of like you go, oh wait a minute, what's going on here? Back to time travel.
Yeah, so this is all about echoes. Is it echo or echo? Is it echo?
Ica.
Ica,
no.
that's...
Yeah. Ica? Yeah, I think it's Ica.
God, I've forgotten.
It's either Ica, it's Ica or Ico. We'll let's call it Ico.
Ico sounds more Japanese than Ica. But yeah, she's basically this is her getting ready to go back in time now to save Malcolm.
Yeah, because I remember being like, wait, but if none of this is going to exist, if all the people I love and I care for aren't going to exist after I go back in time, what's the point of going back in time? And it's such a good question. And the prophet just basically turns around and goes like, you have to figure that out for yourself.
But this is what I'm talking about. The drive of humanity is to be beyond ourselves. That's what makes us different as a species. We have this, whether we want to believe it or not, we all want to leave something behind after we're gone. We want to be remembered, or we want to make a difference. It's just right how we do it, or whatever else, or what method we choose. Doesn't matter. It's there. Anyone who tells you they don't is a liar. Because almost them telling you they don't, someone's then wanting to make it stand, and and the one that said no sort of thing, so they're actually falling into it. We all are like that, and that could be something simple as family, having a family, being a legacy, doing something in work, getting recognized at one time, getting into a journal or a well done, or creating something in the work that's used then.
Having a book imprint.
Yep, putting stories out there. This, I drop dead tomorrow. This is still out there.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? It goes beyond me.
Yeah.
It's I've put something out there, and people might like it, people might not, but at least I've done it. We all have that drive. Some of us are more overt about it, but the deny it is when we deny it, we may as well give up, and that's Ika's conundrum in this.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't going to. My world's going to change, but why am I doing this? And that's without being beyond yourself. Is well, if humanity stops, I've nothing to leave because I won't even be archived by the machines. But at least in the new universe, excuse me, sorry, I come on down the wrong. Even if everything gets reset and I'm starting in a new universe, I've still the opportunity to leave something beyond myself.
Yeah. More on that later.
Yeah. So, episode 7. What was the scene I was thinking of?
Is it?
We're right into the future war again, and
Let me grab very quickly.
Malcolm's trying to stop Konica because she's now taking care of the one NNOs, and she's basically got humanity by the throat, knife at its throat.
Oh, I didn't watch it there, did I?
God, I've completely.
So I'm believe it or not, I'm calling up episode. I'm actually calling up episode 7.
Scroll.
Double
Yeah, I
check.
should have done it myself. I should have rewatched this again. It's been a week or two since I watched all this. I didn't have time today to go back over it all again. Should have at least went over the last 3 episodes because everything happens here. Basically, the kids are trying to.
Yeah, they've all gone they've all gone to Catland to meet up with Catland, but the scariest place in any anime ever. I remember 7. I remember 7 is the one where we see the young Malcolm building an AI.
The first that basically became
Misaki.
Misaki, yep.
Because he says, "What do you want your name to be?" And then she goes to like every permutation that Misaki could possibly be.
And this is almost Terminator Salvation. You know, the aesthetics, the bunker, the base. You know, it's almost like they've taken this from Terminator Salvation with the creation of her.
Well, first thing I hear is Claude Debussy. Oh, it's the bit where Kokoro's sitting at the piano playing.
Oh yes, right.
It's like, haven't you heard this music before? Because Malcolm is asleep on the floor.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I was thinking of the scene where David's playing the piano and it's really pretentious and
yeah.
Yep.
But it's not massively pretentious. It actually works.
Yeah, so this is basically the creation.
Because it's like what's it? Yeah, because it's like the description underneath it of the actual episode is Malcolm recalls past efforts to thwart the machines and his desires to build a god.
And this is where we discover
that is such a good line.
Yep, and this is where we discover Malcolm's actually from the future.
Yes, this is the episode where it finally grabbed me.
Because you wonder, he's not the Dyson character who he's known about this all the time, and his kids know about it.
Yeah, because there's hints at it with the fact that it's like he has dreams. It's like you only see flashes of his dreams, but he's dreaming about the future war. It's like he's dreaming about because it's like in the one of the earlier episodes when his daughter says like, "Is that a Terminator?" And it's like, "Where did you learn that word? It's one of the words my dad shouts while he's sleeping."
Yeah, so we understand, it's not a full reset when you go back in time. Or certain things, if you don't affect them, are going to carry on anyway.
I presume that if you went back in time, you keep your memories.
Yeah, that's we've seen that.
It's like it covers like it covers his birth, it covers when he became a child soldier at the age of 7. Because I think like you mentioned here somewhere, like there's a hell of a lot of C4 for one Terminator. Because they literally bring down a building on it, and then they slap to chop his head off. But it's just kind of like young Malcolm. What is it that he does that gets him in trouble?
Oh God, I can't remember now.
But he gets in trouble with the armed forces, and he kind of gets kicked out, and he settles into kind of like working on
risks. He took a risk or something silly.
Oh God, yeah. And
he's a bit cavalier.
Yeah, he doesn't care for his safety or the safety of the guys who are the other kids who are working with him.
Yeah.
So they push him into a position where he starts studying Terminators to try and find weaknesses. And then he realizes that there are no weaknesses to Terminators. So he starts to look for weakness in other areas, like Skynet. And so he starts to mess about with AI. And he creates his own AI. And he asks, it's interesting because he asks the AI who it wants to be. And the AI chooses to be female because the females are the creators, whereas the men tend to be the destroyers, and she doesn't want to be a destroyer. And he asks her to choose a name, and she chooses the name Misaki. And then she goes through every single meaning of Misaki. Like mother, sand, ocean, depths, loads more. Oh, what a great scene. And then he gets found out.
Yeah, because effectively he's committed blasphemy.
Yeah, he's committed treason. He's built like an AI. And it's like Misaki gets. It's almost as if she gets destroyed, but I don't know if she does. But after he gets back and after he's exonerated, he builds a time machine, and him and Misaki go back in time. And he literally starts in the 80s, and he builds up from absolute zero until he has enough power and enough say to build an AI that can counter Skynet.
So it's a different tech. Rather than trying to destroy Skynet or stop Skynet, he goes the other route of like, right, okay, I need to build something else.
He's going to try and reason with Skynet.
But he knows he can't because it's already made a decision. So Kaneko, and it was a good episode. It really starts bringing it all together.
Like I say, it's the plot twist that really pulled me back into the story.
Because we were getting it. There's something not straightforward about Malcolm and the family and everything else. It's just something missing. And we're starting to get a hint with Echo as well. Something's going on, and because at this point these two haven't met yet.
They don't actually meet until
right to the.
Do they? I guess they don't actually meet until the last episode, do they?
No, which is it's only because the kids have come to the center, because basically what did Malcolm do to hold Kanako at bay, that she basically has to try and threaten his family.
Sorry, what?
Do you remember? She comes online, she takes over the one end and knows. He does something. Is it because he's in the central hub?
Oh yeah. What's it?
That's how the kids end up.
So yeah, it's his daughter is with my God, I nearly called her Kaneko. His daughter's with Eiko, and she's like, Dad, I'm in a lot of trouble because they're in a room in a building surrounded by armed police officers, and it's like, I'm in a lot of trouble, and he's basically like, I can't help you now. And she's like, your daughter's phoning again, doctor. And he's like, no, don't put her through. It's like, she may be in trouble, but there are times it's about time she learned to like handle things herself. Because Kokoro turns around and says, is this an example of the humanity you wanted to show me? Not helping your own daughter. I'm like, damn.
And then this is about where the Terminator's protecting Kenta.
Yeah, because it's like the Terminator brings Kenta up to the door and says, it's kind of like open the door or I'm going to kill your son. And he's like, Kenta, I love you so much. It's like, I'm so proud of you. You mean everything to me, but I'm not opening this door. And then it ends with like Kenta bangs on the door at the same time a gunshot goes off.
Yeah, that's right. So.
That's the end of that's the end of 7.
And you think it wasn't good? You think it was just going to play out for episode 8, but there's still a few more twists and turns. Like everything's just.
This is
Skynet's almost like taking a back seat in all this.
This is kind of bad. We've been jumping forwards and backwards over the first six, talking about things, about going off on tangents about things. We've got episode 7 and 8, the best 7. We just flown over episode 7 in about 30
because they go at skyrocket pace. You can't.
It's like episode 7. It's like episode 7. It's like Malcolm's early life. Loads of future war that I really enjoyed. The whole idea is like you put the line here, Malcolm is trying to reprogram the Matrix. The fact that he's come up with the idea that he can use an AI to fight an AI is absolutely brilliant. Gets caught out, comes back in time into our timeline, builds himself up. So he's he's part of a company that's big enough to be able to build it. And then there's this once again at the end of the episode, humanity rears its head. And Malcolm completely misses it.
Yeah, he's just so.
His feeling towards his son is like, I'm really proud of you. I love you. Go away and die. It's like, wow.
Yeah, and he effectively makes the argument to doom humanity because if this is what it is.
Yeah. It's like save humanity because we're capable of incredible things like, throwing our children to the wolves.
Yeah. And then obviously when the final episode, which you wouldn't think there was much more to go. Or much more they could reveal and just play it out.
Oh wow, yeah. Because it's that it's like notes on the last episode. All hell is breaking loose. This Terminator unit is more dangerous than T-800. Don't understand why the Terminator is still taking Kenta. Because it's like the Terminator realizing his father. His father does open the door.
Yeah, he does.
Malcolm does open the door, but it's like Kokoro standing. Kokoro is like hovering in the air behind him, and it's like she's already online, she's already connected to the world. You failed. There's nothing for you here now. go away. It's like, you've lost. And the Terminator just grabs hold of Kenta, turns around, and stomps off down the corridor.
Yeah, and then you're sort of going, why?
Yeah. Heading for a plot MacGuffin that hasn't been mentioned since about episode 3, 4 maybe. The fact that the building they're in has got a massive citywide blanketing EMP device, which is at the moment turned off, which the Terminator could kind of use to destroy all the 1NOs, Kokoro itself. And it takes Kenta with him because Terminators cannot self-terminate. So it requires him to press the button. Which leads to one of my favourite scenes in it. The bit where Kenta turns around and says, why should I do that? And he's like, because the person who sent me on this mission told me you would. Oh, who's that then? You in 25 years' time. Because Kenta is going to be the first human to make a deal with Skynet. At which point, I just kind of went, ooh! That caught my interest. And that is why I want more of this.
It took a while to get there, but I think, like I said, you needed the little... This couldn't be an information dump. It would just be far too much to take in at once.
It's kind of like a mid episode post credit scene. It's like, it's the bit where it's kind of like, okay, I need to see the next episode of this. Oh wait,
but they've set it up for a season. Like, there could be a season 2 of this. This has got its own. All the build-up's been done here now.
It's like season 2. There could be a season 2 of this, a season 3. There could be a whole catalogue of things based off Terminator Zero. I don't think there ever will be, which makes me sad.
I think they need to be restrained.
Yeah.
This is one of these ones where they can't get excited and go, "Oh, we'll do loads of stuff," because then we'll ruin it. It's like they've sown the seeds. Now they just need to be really, really, really selective of which fruit they pick. But it's like boom! It's like the sudden reveal that like the Terminator who's come back to kill Malcolm has been sent by his future self or by his son. But also it removes the theory that the Prophet has of everything being completely reset. Some things are still in motion. Yeah.
But it's something that Malcolm says later on, because it's like, while this is all happening, before this all happened, Malcolm was shot by the Terminator when he decided to go into hand-to-hand combat with him, using what appeared to be a coolant hose off a computer and squirting him with liquid nitrogen or something, which didn't affect him because it froze the Terminator in place because it shot him in the chest with its crossbow arm. After being blown up by dynamite and God knows what else.
Yeah, it's you can tell it's a better unit. It's not just a token.
It's like that. I reckon it's a T-801, to be quite honest.
Yeah. There was a change of animation style in this as well, which maybe kind of go.
Yeah, I don't know what happened then.
It was very odd.
It's kind of like the animation is kind of like dropped a peg. Whether or not they were like running out of money and just scraping up the last barrel and doing the best they could, I'm not quite sure. But
I wouldn't think so. If it's been one thing Netflix does is pay money. This isn't this is made for Netflix. So one thing they do is they throw money about. If they throw money at something, they throw money hard.
It could be that they were running out of time, so they rushed it.
But you see that changed. You're like, oh God, that's
change was noted, but what was happening in the plot kept me going.
Yeah, and the other thing I didn't mention in this, but when Echo meets Malcolm, and Malcolm recognizes her immediately.
Yeah.
Hello, mother.
Hello, mother. At which point, I pretty much face palmed. I'm like, oh. But I just like the fact that the Terminator, it's like the one and the nose are attacking the room with the EMP in it. The Terminator, he said, like, Kent is going to the Terminator, what should I do? And he's like, I'll leave that with you. And then he just opens the door, attacks the one in the nose, and literally gets ripped to pieces. It gets absolutely disassembled by the one in the nose. And one NNO with like a smashed head comes in, and it's Kokoro. And Kokoro turns around to him and says, please don't do that. And he's like, no, I don't trust you. And he's like, no, I understand that you don't trust me in the same way I didn't trust your father. But now your father's the person I trust more than anyone. Please trust me in the way I trust him. And he's like, where is my father? He died 37.6 seconds ago, or something like that. And it shows you him turning the dial. It shows you him literally pressing the button to set off this EMP. And then it shows you him walking down this corridor full of all these smashed, deactivated robots. And then it goes back to the machine and he's turned it off. I love that scene. And then you just see all the robots are kind of standing there lifeless. And as he approaches them, they just all kind of like activate and step back to let him through. It's such a good scene.
He's almost like Baltar.
Yeah.
Out of Battlestar Galactica. There's a wee bit of a homage to that.
There are just a couple of really, really, really good scenes that totally like feed into my enjoyment of anime in the last couple of episodes. Gotta be honest.
This is where it just doesn't. It removes the shackles of the Terminator franchise and all the bad bits.
But it's like it asks questions. It's kind of like Kenta is supposed to be the guy who makes the deal with Skynet. Yeah, that more or less that. Okay, what's the deal? Does the deal save humanity? Does the deal enslave humanity? Did he make the deal because he activated the EMP and destroyed Kokoro? Did he make the deal because he doesn't activate the EMP and destroy Kokoro? It's know. Like this. There's too many questions. The last episode, the last 20 minutes of Terminator Zero has so many new questions of it, and there's no answers to any of them.
But then
I've got to be on it. I think that's great.
But here's the point. I've said this before about storytelling. You build the universe. Your story is a snapshot in that universe. An event happens, people react to the event, the circumstances come to a close. That doesn't mean that everything gets wrapped up in a neat bow. The world carries on.
Yeah,
if you haven't built a good enough universe, that story is only a little, like a news article.
Yeah. I want to wake up tomorrow and pick up my phone and see a message saying like Terminator 0.1 coming in a few years' time. So, so they've got a few years to actually work on it and not ruin it, not to rush it. And I'd be like, yes, and I'll be there for it.
Yeah, this is something you don't want to come out every year.
No,
this is something you want to take your time. Well-crafted story.
If this was a regular thing there where they release one series every year in the way that Hollywood insists on releasing one Marvel movie every year, they do the same to this that they've done to Marvel. It's like, oh God, not another one. Oh, what's this one going to be?
No, and I think that's where they're. This is where anime is different.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it where the series already exists. For example, there's a lot of anime based on. There's one was mentioned in a news article you covered the other week. Rise of a Shield Hero. Rise of a Shield Hero is like 25 novels. They've all been released. You can pop into Waterstones and buy them in English, but it's like it's been there for years, and they release a series like every couple of years, and it's like which they can do because it's like the source material is all there. They're just copying what's in the novel series. I'm pointing at my copies of them. It's like they can cover everything that happens in the novel series because it's already written. Something like this needs time to germinate. It needs time for people to have ideas. It needs time for the ideas to grow. It needs time for them to talk with other people about their ideas, so they can work out which points of the story are the strongest, which points they should cover, which points can be pushed back for a later series, that kind of thing. It's like you can't, if you rush this, all you're going to do is destroy the franchise even more than it has been already.
Yeah. And this is, I would say this not being the Terminator franchise. I say this is the Terminator Zero franchise. This could be its own thing.
It's almost with a title like Terminator Zero, it almost feels like a reboot.
Yeah, but it's not. It's its own branching off of a storyline, which I don't understand why they haven't done this. Well, it's nepotism, laziness, creative bankruptcy.
Maybe like
I've always said this: you build the universe, and this is what they've done wrong with the Alien franchise as well. They kept going back over the same freaking 3 things,
yeah,
and they can't let it go. Where you can take a storyline, you can branch off,
it's
somewhere else. It's still the same universe.
Yeah,
you can bring the elements in, but
yeah, it's like my biggest problem with both the Terminator and the Aliens franchise is that to me they are one-trick ponies. It's like you can't have an Aliens film without a Xenomorph. You can't have a Terminator film without a Terminator.
But you can build a compelling story.
Yeah, you can branch off that storyline and have an Aliens. You could have like a film set in the Aliens universe, which doesn't necessarily have to have a Xenomorph in it.
To me, Romulus would have worked. For example, if that had been set in current day, past the events. Yeah. And they were just a completely different set of circumstances in the company. Yes, the go to find it's a research station. They've captured, a xenomorph. It didn't have to be the big chap from the Nostromo. It didn't have to be fucking Rook. Didn't have to be the Black Goo. It didn't have to be an that shite. All it had to be was the way they started it off. A group go to a derelict space station, realize what's happened, and then they're trying to get on.
Yeah, it could have been that the derelict space station wasn't as derelict as they first thought. Why Wayland Utah was in there performing experiments on things. They got caught. They get found out. They had to escape. They got the ship. They went to another system. Didn't need to have a Xenomorph in it.
But even if they did, just where they went wrong was they kept going back over all the member berries, all the rehashing the old plot, put it right in the middle of the timeline to rewrite over. That's where it.
Yeah, I always thought that there. I still think, right? There should be a Terminator movie, which isn't about people traveling back in time. Yeah, it's just the future war, a war movie.
That's what we wanted from day one.
Yeah,
what we got. The fucking Terminator Salvation, and that was awful.
I still don't believe that film exists. No one can convince me. Same with Genesis.
Yeah, God. Yeah, but that's what they once again. Fan service. Oh, pesky fans.
That's what I see. Like this. Yes, it's Terminator. If somebody who knows Terminator watches this, will they feel at home? Yes, they will, because it's Terminator. It's like all the things you need for a Terminator film are in here. But there is enough, like I say, there is enough new stuff in here that it could sow the field for a whole new Terminator universe. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit when I say humor, but there's
a whole storyline, a whole plot line.
There's stuff here that people could create so much more.
You don't need John Connor. You don't need Sarah Connor. You don't need the T-800. You don't need the T-1000 in this universe because it's already developed its own variants.
Yeah, it's already like the seed bed is there. It just needs watering now.
There's the next season would be the negotiations between Kokoro and Skynet.
Yeah.
So we don't need the whole whole slow build up.
Yeah.
We've got all the
Because
groundwork laid here.
I remember there's a line. There's a line. I think it's I can't remember who says it. I think it's Kiko. I think Kiko is it, where she's saying like it's like what if, because it's kind of like if Skynet and Kokoro talk with each other and they agree, that's the end of that's the end of mankind.
Absolutely.
If Kokoro and Skynet don't agree but they go to war with each other, that's the end of mankind. I kind of want to see that war. I want to see.
We got a hint with the Terminator versus the N100s.
Yeah,
sorry.
I want to see Skynet and all his hunter killers and whatnot versus like Kokoro and all their like defensive units or whatever.
And you know, because it's Japanese, there's going to be like Gundam type.
Oh god, it's going to be Gundam meets Gunbuster meets every other giant robot.
And there'll be two NNOs and various, you know, what I mean, just their whole style.
Like imagine like if you did it,
it's Necrons versus Tau.
Yeah, like
40k terms.
Like just imagine like the spectacle, like if it was done in anime style, the spectacle that one of those fights would be.
And where do humans fit in?
Yeah,
humans would just be like the wee ants trying to just carve out a place and then bunker down. But the big thing of season 2 would be the conversation that would have to start between Kokoro and Skynet, and then what's the personification of Skynet going to look like?
But I see it as kind of like season 2 would be like the conflict, but would be the conversation, the breakdown, and the start of the conflict between Skynet and Kokoro. Season 3 would be like a war epic between Kokoro, at the end of which Kenta speaks to Skynet. Season 4 would be the downfall of Kokoro as Kenta betrays her to Skynet and like manages to like find a place for people within like Skynet's idea of a world.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like have I been thinking about this a lot?
The final scene of the final season will be Kento sending the Terminator back.
Yes.
To kill his father and, you know, set off the EMP.
And then they'd probably turn around and go, do you know what? Let's reboot the entire thing.
Oh, probably not. The problem is this has the potential to take off. And by season 3, all the busybodies will be sticking their claws into it.
Yeah. See, this is the part. I can think of all these amazing ways it could go forward. But then again, you've got to be honest. We've seen enough.
Yeah,
we've seen
know
enough,
how this goes.
We've seen enough films. We've seen enough television. We've seen enough franchises to know that once it starts to make money, they're just going to want to pump more of it and more of it and more of it out as quickly as possible. And people are going to want to do it. It's got to go this way. It's got to go that way. It's got to include this. It's got to include that. And the entire thing is just going to turn into mindless mush.
Yeah, because that's the way it works.
Which is another of the reasons why I, at 54 years old, am madly into anime, because anime refuses to do mush. And there is every season there is something.
They're fighting anime's fighting a hard battle because they're coming for it because they've realized that article I covered. I've realized what's going on. Because the localizers are getting sacked.
Yep. Oh god,
that's where the hit pieces are starting.
Oh yeah, what's it? I mean, like Crunchyroll released an article a couple of days ago saying that by the end of this year, it will have got rid of every single one of its localizers.
Yep, and they're going to use AI tools.
Because
you can translate real time. This is how good it's getting.
Yeah.
You can translate real time. You install the AI, and you watch something through your browser, and it's going to subtitle in real time.
This is just it, because you can turn to like AI. I'm still using air quotes. You can turn on to AI and you can say, translate this, please. And it will translate it as faithfully as it can. It won't have to put any like keywords or catchwords or jibes or anything like that into it. It will give it you exactly as it is. Which I've
But
got to be honest, being an anime fan, I right. If I am going to watch a translated work, I want that translation to be as close to the original as it can, because nothing bugs me more than when you look at a subtitle and the subtitle on the screen has not said what the person in the thing has said.
and they've used a like a localism, like a fucking Southern Californian term or something. And you're like, they don't have that there. They talk about states instead of prefectures, and you're like, what?
Oh, does this go back to the bit where Malcolm is talking to Kokoro? Is it Kokoro? No, Malcolm is talking to
I watched it and
Misaki.
I watched it with
And
subtitles. I didn't watch it, but
she says what he says konnichiwa, and then they explain konnichiwa, and then they explain the meaning of the word hello.
yeah, all the connotations. Yeah, and I was like,
yeah, it's because it was created. It's because it's the English version was dubbed into Japanese, which was then given subtitles. That the original version of Terminator Zero was in English, but it's like what? But
no, this didn't need to be in English. But here's the thing as well: because of a few activists that thought they run the world, they've actually destroyed the American market. Because if you have an AI tool that's going to translate, you're not going to wait till it goes to the US market. You're just going to buy it direct from Japan.
Oh yeah, it's I kind of
you're
wish,
just going to mail order. So
like
there's America out of the equation altogether.
I wish you could do that, because it's like I am quite honest in the fact that I use grey sites to watch most of my anime. Yeah. If I like a series, I will then buy the series on DVD when it is released. Yeah. I don't just watch it for free and then not give anything back to the anime industry. But it's like the reason I do that is because only about, like, there are, let's think, what anime sites have we got available at the moment? There's Disney, Amazon, Netflix, Crunchyroll, and High Dive, I think. Yeah. Between the 5 of those, they only show something like 20% of the anime that's made every year, and a lot of the series that I want to watch aren't being covered.
Amazon is the worst.
Amazon is pretty poor. Netflix is pretty good. Netflix is pretty good, not gonna lie.
No, that's one thing we've sort of tweaked on to. The rest of their site is also crap.
But it's like right. No, I mean, I do not lie. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm a massive fan of anime rom-coms. It's a bit kind of bad, isn't it, for a 54-year-old book? But they don't release them. They release all the action ones and a lot of the horror ones and the suspense ones and the space ones and things like that. But there are certain genres that don't get released in the West, and it just so happens that they're the ones I like watching. sorry.
Getting to the point now where you'll just be able to order direct. Like,
see that
where there's demand, there's always supply.
Yeah. Also, I'm kind of against Crunchyroll, because Crunchyroll is the one that's kind of like leading the effort to shut down all these grey channels, which is kind of amusing, because when Crunchyroll started out, it was a private channel itself.
God, I think we've talked about this before. When it took over the other site,
we have, yeah. And then they took over Funimation.
Yeah, Funimation. That was it. It just did the dirty on the subscribers.
Yeah, because I owned some animation on Funimation that I cannot get back.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So they're not leading a moral charge. They're just Crunchy. Protectionist scumbags.
Yeah, thanks, Crunchy. You're never getting any of my money.
Nah. Well, do you know what? The tide is turning. Will there ever? I don't think there'll ever be a utopia in entertainment like the world.
Yeah,
because
it'd be nice.
The corporations are always going to, you know, I mean, there's too much money to be made.
It's like the problem with Crunchyroll at the moment is Crunchyroll is actually owned by Sony, and Sony are very, very, very cautious with their pocketbook, both in paying out and what comes into it.
Yeah, because they've screwed the pooch. They had a chance to be the alternative to the likes of Warner Brothers and Disney. They actually, more so to Disney, they had the chance to be the alternative, and they screwed it up. And they had 2 of the hottest properties, X-Men and Spider-Man.
Yes.
the fuck that they
Yeah,
completely screwed it up.
God,
So I have no sympathy. And plus, do you remember the Sony stores?
God, I do.
If you ever wanted something overpriced, 3 times the price of something else.
They used to be one in Derby, 2 in Nottingham. If you ever walked into one, like 4 people would come and grab you by the arms and try and pull you in different directions. Hello, sir, can we help you? To which you reply, no, I'm just looking, and they literally look daggers at you.
You're not here to drop $3,000.
No, sorry, no. 51-inch television wouldn't fit through the door, mate.
Yeah, it's.
But yeah, sorry. This is just me ranting about the state of anime in the world again. You'll have to excuse me.
Yeah, but just say Crunchyroll being owned by Sony makes sense. Sony is not a good company. That they could have, like I said, they could have been a proper viable alternative. But they didn't. They messed up.
I kind of wish there was just some kind of like, I don't know, some universal kind of repository where all the anime went in, and even if you had to pay to watch a specific series, people would use it. People would use it.
Do you remember they tried that back in the day?
Yeah.
Didn't Tesco's have one?
I think so. Yeah. But it's like recent. There used to be a great site for anime called Animego. It's still there, but it's like its days are numbered. They've stopped posting new content because it's going to be shut down any day, which is a shame because they've got anime in there. They've got anime in there which date back to like the 50s, the 1950s. Some like the really early first anime that was ever released. And the moment that site closes down, it's gone for good.
Well, it's like I had books that were lost. I'll never get again because they're not in print anymore.
Yeah.
And as before, they obviously came out before print and demand. There's DVD box sets gone now. I'll not get again. Stuff like that just gone. And unfortunately, that's the nature of if they don't get the immediate payback, they don't see the value in archiving. And the actual industry, entertainment industry as a whole, has become so convoluted. I'm even finding it with small press publishing. Like I've just stepped into the world myself of small press publishing, and holy shit, it's a minefield of the different distribution. Trying to get distribution arcs is a friggin' nightmare.
Yeah,
and all you're trying to do is get, kind of have this on your shelf, please.
Yeah. Depends how much of a discount are you going to give us per copy?
You're going to pay me money to put it on, or what? It's obviously things can be renegotiated, but still, it's
like, do you remember Pioneer?
Oh, the brand, yeah. I had a good sound system. That was one of my first surround systems I bought.
Yeah, Pioneer did great electronics. Yeah, did you know that Pioneer also did great anime?
Did not.
Pioneer was an anime company. That's some Tintin Mio is the one that pops to mind. It's like a sci-fi comedy thing. You cannot get it anymore because it's like when Pioneer closed down, everything went with them and nobody brought them. Because there's a thing in Japan where you do not buy your competitors' produce. You do not buy your competitors' materials. So all these like hundreds, thousands of anime just disappeared, just ceased to exist. And it's sites like Animego and places like that. It's the grey sites that store these because it's like no one like Crunchyroll or anything like that is what why would they like show an anime that's like 30 years old? Who's interested in watching stuff like that?
God, you'd be surprised.
Exactly,
that's once again that's the modern American mindset.
The thing is though, because when Pioneer went down, nobody bothered to save it. You live like if I want let's think a really good Pioneer. Where am I? I'll stick with Tenchi Muyo. If I wanted to find Tenchi Muyo, if I wanted to watch Tenchi Muyo, if it wasn't for some of these grey sites, I would actually have to go out there and find probably a laser disc of it.
Here's a system actually with books is quite good. like when I published Horrific Tales or Volume 1,
Yeah.
I had to send 1 copy to the British Library.
Mm.
And I had to send 5 copies to the Scottish Library.
Wow.
Because the
Yes.
Scottish Library then sent to Trinity Library in Dublin, the Welsh, and I think Isle of Man or something. Or one of the islands anyway.
Yeah.
So, the Scottish Library is basically a hub, sends to the 5 different ones, not including the Edinburgh Library. So, no matter what happens, I get hit by a bus tomorrow, everything blows up in my face.
Yeah, there will be a copy.
There is an archive copy now in the British Isles in the library.
Oh, Chris is in chat. Didn't notice him pop in.
Oh, sorry, mate. Wait.
It's because I've been waving my arms and ranting for so long. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Chris, man. Yeah, but this is the thing. This is done. This has its own storyline now. It's not reliant on the original.
It's been created with thought.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about it.
It's not just like yet another carbon copy of the Terminator franchise. It's not like a copy of a film that's already been made. It's actually got, like I say, the first 4 episodes. The first 4 episodes is comfort food for every Terminator fan out there, because it's purely the original term. It's more or less the original Terminator.
You're getting bits dropped in, and maybe you might want to go back. You get the build up for the last 3 episodes. It's all getting dropped. Little breadcrumbs are dropped as well in between it.
It gives you enough information during the first half, so that when you hit the second half and the story starts to speed up, you understand what's going on, because they've basically given you all the hints. There's still enough in there that it will give you plenty of surprises, because there's plenty of stuff that we didn't see coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's
but
really
back
good.
to what I'm saying. Do we need a library system for film? I know they've only started thinking about it now with retrieval and archive projects. The last one I can think of is Sir Peter Jackson's "They Shall Not Grow Old."
Yep.
But
right, it's kind of weird, because in a way we've already got one, but it's only for war, the Imperial War Museum archive.
Yeah, but that's not film and entertainment.
We do. It's like we have archives for books. There's archives for music. There's archive for seeds out there. It's like, yes, we need an archive for music, because an archive for film, because like I've been saying, this is just anime. But when Pioneer went down, nearly all of Pioneer's library of
something similar to the ISBN system
just disappeared.
But ISFM, International Serial Film Number. Because there's so much that is lost. Like I remember a thing called Unico. I think I mentioned this before. It was a wee kids cartoon.
Yeah.
But I remember loving it as a kid, and it was something we watched multiple times in the house. I couldn't remember it now. And I don't even know, through an adult side, would it be any good? But it's one of them. I'd love to have revisited that again.
But there's no chance, because it's gone.
It's like it was VHS when it came out.
It's like the film it was on. Well, the film it's on probably been dissolved. If it was on video, the videos have probably been thrown out, because everything's stored on digital now.
Yeah, but should there be an ISFN number and a copy of the original reel be kept and converted to digital?
So if I was Elon Musk with Elon Musk's money, that's the kind of thing I'd be looking for, not rockets.
Well, the thing is, though, he's doing rockets. It doesn't have to be just Elon Musk. There's loads. He's not the only billionaire out there. The problem is the rest of them are frigging.
The problem is a lot of people with money for something like that will be like, yes, but what do I get out of it?
Exactly. Once again, they're going against the humanity of I want to leave something behind. They're doing it through social change and social engineering, and they're not actually doing anything beneficial. Why isn't there? Like, I'll use Peter Jackson as an example. He's the only one that actually went and restored that project, all the Imperial War Museum's archives that make that movie, which and he used modern sound effects for the explosions and stuff. And actually, when you get to that point, freaking hell, you're there. You are in that. You're in the no man's land. It's bloody brilliant. You're transported back in time. That was
I've got a copy of that. My nephew bought it for me a couple of Christmases ago.
oh, it's worth it. But that's one example of one person who's got to a certain level that he could do that.
Yeah, it's one of those films that I saw on like DVD. I wish I'd seen it on the big. I wish. Right. I don't wish I'd seen it in the cinema. I wish I'd seen it on IMAX.
Yeah, but we need something.
We do. We need. There needs to be some kind of like repository for film.
And I think
cartoon,
each country should have its own.
Any picture media.
You supply a copy to. You know, I mean, it's not exactly a massive expense, but there's so much
But it would be.
And there's re-releases. There's money to be made from. This is how it can pay for itself. We have loads of, and this is why I'm making a case for physical media, by the way, because we're a tactile being. You know, back to what this is telling about. When we stop being tactile, when we stop being carnal, this is where we end up. It's not a good place. But right, you don't want to just buy a DVD or something. You want the collector's edition.
Oh yeah.
You want the 10th anniversary, the 20th anniversary. You know, and just make it a nice thing to have. And there might be, you could be a person, you only buy one. There's one particular movie out there that's resonated with you.
Yeah. Right.
And you might only have the 10th anniversary of that one particular, or the 20, you know.
Yeah, right.
You might have a special edition of that one particular movie, and that's all you buy. That helps keep the thing going.
Here's a scary thought, yeah? I bet you any money there are people out there who don't know what this noise is. That is a paperback book. Because I bet you there are people out there who've never read a book. All they do is read words off a screen.
And probably don't even need them anymore. They want AI voice telling them.
Oh, that's it. Oh, audiobooks. I've got no problem with audiobooks.
No, but do you know what I mean? They don't even read. And that's yeah, but that's what's again. This series alludes to where we go. This is telling us the trajectory of that path.
Yeah.
If it's not checked. And once again, everything's about balance.
Yeah.
Nothing is absolute of, oh no, we must reject digital. You know, we wouldn't be doing this if we rejected all technology.
I love the fact that Terminator Zero is a dystopian world, but it's not until you're like half, maybe 3/4 of the way through it that you actually realize just how dystopian it is.
It's right in the cusp. There you go. That was
love that. Great story. Great storytelling for me. Bit of a slow start. Definitely worth watching through to the end because the last few episodes.
I think the difference between you and me is I was getting the philosophical angle on this, and I was getting invested in that.
I've got to be honest. When I started watching it, and when it actually started going through like 1, 2, 3, 4, it was like, here we are again. It's same old Terminator. Yeah, it's Terminator. Oh, look, there's a Terminator. Yes, it's got this in as well. Terminator this, Terminator that. It wasn't until we got to like episode 5, 6 that I had to actually, hang on a minute, this isn't Terminator as we know it. And then episode 7 and 8 dropped. And episode 7 and 8 were absolutely mind-blowing. I'm going to watch this series again from the start just to look for bits I didn't pick up. Just so I can go through the last 2 episodes again.
Yeah, because I think that's what it's all the build up to the.
It's like for me, the build up just felt like Terminator, whatever number you care to mention. But yeah, the actual the payback at the end is absolutely incredible, and I want more.
There you go. That was fun. Good chat as always, and really went deep on this one. This is a real navel gazer, wasn't it? I was like,
I think we managed to keep it. You know, I think we managed to keep it to less than 40 tangents this time. We're getting better.
No, it was all relevant though to this because that's to me what the series was evoking, that sort of conversation. I would have been if it had just been another action movie.
Yeah.
been disappointed. But there was enough going out there that the Skynet and the Terminator, because it makes sense. Skynet and the Terminators are an American problem, over there happening, which they alluded to at the very beginning. This is a brand new thing that's happening in their neck of the woods. And yeah, but all in all, I enjoyed it. I'm glad. I'd be interested to see where it goes. If they do create season 2,
I hope they do. I hope they do, but I really hope they don't rush it. And I hope
have you seen Arcane season 2 yet?
I haven't even seen Arcane season 1.
Season
I've heard plenty of good things about it and plenty of bad things about it.
Season 1 is great. Season 2 just goes bleh. Like I think I managed 3 episodes and I gave up. It was,
that's not what we want.
It was just like, what are you doing? So if they don't do that with this, hopefully they'll learn.
He's got the guy who wrote this is doing something else at the moment, but it's based on a comic book, American superhero comic book that was released by, it was either Image Comics or Dark Horse.
I like Dark Horse.
Hang on a minute. Fear Agent. It's not what I'm familiar with. 2000. It was released like 2006, 2005 to 2006, and then from 7 to 18.
All right, I'll have a nosy at that. Maybe one to keep an eye on. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they could be planning this in the background. Just nothing's.
That's it. They could. I mean, this is just like what the guy who wrote Terminator Zero is working on next. It doesn't say what he's working on after that.
But it could be plotting out in the background,
Oh god, yeah.
Doodling away, you just don't know. But anyway, we'll see. Anyway, that was a good one. I'm glad we covered it. And although we didn't cover it right at the time, at least it gives it a chance to die down and get away from all the hype, so we just look at it.
Yeah.
Without any noise. But all in all, good series. Glad it's there.
Well worth watching.
Yep. And be cool to see where it goes. So we will be back. We need to decide what we're doing next. But I'll reach out offline about that, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time.
We'll put them all on the wall and throw a dart at it.
Yeah, that's the way it's getting. Now there's just
it's every time it's like we'll do this, and then we
spin the wheel
and more.
I think I'll have to be spin the wheel.
Right, you are. Sounds good to me.
I'll make a list of all the. That's what I'll do actually at the end of each one, because I've got the spin the wheel thing, and that worked quite well for the giveaway.
That'd be, that'd be kind of cool to send. The next time we're going to be covering.
That's what there's the plan for the future. That's what
we're going to do. There we go.
Right, but we can't do it right now.
No.
So we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. All right, folks. Thanks for everyone that tuned in. And just easy to say, until next time, keep up the other channel, do the technical things, and remember to keep it creepy. Keep it horrific.